Alright, we're good. We should be live.
Alright.
Nobody's in here yet, I think, yo. So.
That's okay, I'm here.
Alright. Hopefully Chris and Curtis show up soon and then we can start. But I already got Irvin up on the stream, you know, a great starter card to start out with. A great starter card. Should be anyways. This card's so bad.
This guy fills the exact same role as the other Irvine, just like worse.
Yeah, he costs one more. He sometimes does the same amount of damage. Probably most of the time, honestly. But whatever, we'll get into that. It probably won't take that long to review this card, to be honest. But yeah, we'll wait till Chris and Curtis get here. Or maybe we just start with Curtis gets here. We let Chris join in midway through or something.
Yeah, I mean, he's like running home.
Yeah.
Right?
Curtis is on, so I'm gonna add Curtis. Once Curtis gets on here, I'll start.
And how many opinions?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
What's up?
Alright, cool. We're already streaming, by the way, Curtis. It's FYI, we're already live.
Oh, we are?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you hear my voice just fine?
Yeah, I hear you, okay. I think we're gonna start, and then let Chris jump in late, because he said he's on his way home from work. So
okay.
Hopefully he'll join. He'll be here in time for the cards he probably cares about. So,
Yeah.
When you say live, are we like live, or you're just recording?
we're live. I'm streaming it, and then I'm gonna take the VOD and just put it on YouTube in pieces.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do I have to be PG?
No.
PG-13.
Not really. PG-13 is okay. Well, not really. It's my personal Twitch channel. I don't. Nothing out of the norm.
PG-19.
PG-19. Okay.
Alright, y'all ready to start? I'm gonna go in order from 1 to 124, and then when Chris jumps in and messages me, I'll let him in.
Alright, let's get it.
Are you ready? Alright,
Sure.
so we're starting with Irvin. Well, we're starting with red cards. This won't take very long, honestly. So he's a 4 CP backup. When he enters the field, choose a 4, deal 5,000 damage. The number of 4s your opponent controls is greater than the number of 4s you control, deal at 7k. Thoughts? Pretty god, bro. This card sucks.
Yeah, it's rough. Like, nothing about it is relevant.
It's like, sometimes it hits most of the time it hits for the same amount of damage. I think I just said this earlier. As the other Irvin, they cost 1 less.
Yeah, it's like too expensive, bad name, bad job. It's kind of cool in draft. I don't know if we're gonna go over that stuff. I mean, hey, it does some damage, but it's expensive. It's just expensive. Like,
Yeah.
he'll be lucky to get a kill, just like Irvine.
It feels like it's missing an EX burst symbol.
It really does, and that wouldn't even make it that crazy. It would just make it like kind of okay.
Yeah. Anything to add, Chris?
No, I have literally nothing to add. I think you guys said exactly what needs to be said. It's not a great card, for sure.
Alright, so next is Ifrita. It's a 3 CP, fire, modal summon, select 1 of 3. If you have 5 or more, if it's in your break zone, you get to do all 3. Choose a 4, deal 7k, choose a monster 3 or less break, deal 3,000 damage to all 4s opponent controls.
I mean, so basically, I think we just ignore the sentence that says if you have 5 or 4 efforts in your break zone, and then we look at this as a 3-cost modal summon for fire. And I think some people will play it. It has like good combo potential with other things. Like people, of course, are saying Fina and just other like fire cleaves. It gets boosted by all the cool fire things like K-Tuna, New Terra.
Do you think it'll actually like see play though?
So I think it's really hard to find a spot for this card. I think fire summons are kind of tight and a little bit spoken for, and maybe if like mono fires becomes more of a thing, which I don't see happening either. So I don't think so. I think that like people will play it. We'll see it sometimes, but I don't think this is about to become a staple or anything.
Yeah, I don't think it's terrible or anything like that. I think, I don't know, it just kind of suffers from similar stuff that fire summons suffer from. It's nice to finally have a summon that does like some splash damage, but it just feels like a crappy wind summon or like a crappy wind ETB on the forward. I don't know. I feel like you're already playing this in a good deck. It's probably going to be in conjunction with those wind cards.
Yeah, this is a pretty expensive Valfor.
Yeah, I don't think this card is too great. I mean, it's kind of cool with all the other cards you guys mentioned, but it's just kind of sad that it being a mortal summon, you can only do one of the things. Like, if you could do 2 out of the 3 things, I think that would be really, really good, but I think it's really limited, and I don't think you are going to be playing 5 Ifrits in your deck, and if you are, you're probably not playing the right deck.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure.
Yeah, I actually never recognized that this was a hero, and that's crazy to me.
Oh yeah, I didn't even realize this is a hero too, actually, until just
This
now.
is a hero. This should be 2 of the 3. What's the problem with making this the equivalent of Glazia? Is what I don't understand.
Because they don't want you to be able to deal 10k to 1 forward for 3, I think. I think that's probably
Because
why.
it's a fire card, that's why.
Yeah. I really think fire summons suffer from the fact that other fire summons exist and they don't want them to be irrelevant. I really do.
Well, honestly, so if this card said pick 2, and it was choose 1 deal at 5, so you got kind of like the 8 in spread, is that too crazy? I don't know. It just feels like this card is unfairly weak compared to its counter.
Yeah, I agree with that. We'll move on. Next up is the first legend. It's Ace. He's a 5 CP 8k EX burst. When Ace attacks, choose 1 forward opponent controls, deal it 2k for each class 0 cadet forward you control. And then when Ace enters the field, reveal the top 7 cards of your deck. Add 2 class 0 cadets other than card name Ace among them to your hand, and then shuffle the other cards and return them to the bottom of your deck.
Well, I think this card isn't that bad, but that means you have to be playing type 0, so I mean, you can kind of make the argument whether it's good or not just from that.
Mm-hmm.
But like, let's assume that 0 cadets are good. This card would be very good in that, because I mean, if it's like Scions where you're playing like a treble deck and you're, getting 2 cards back potentially when you play it, this could be like a 1 CP, 8k, so I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think that in the deck that this card is made for, this card is really good. It's actually surprisingly good enough to be played over the light Ace, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Which usually doesn't happen when they make another Ace card.
Yeah.
Because the gimmick for all of them is the tribal thing. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be a really interesting card to build around in limited, but it's 100% like you got to just be playing cadets. If you are, you put this in and you're happy to see this card.
Yeah.
Interesting art.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I was about to say that too. It's very different from all the other Final Fantasy cards, I think.
Is this new
This
art?
This is our Japanese War of the Spark equivalent here, our promo.
Yeah, I think this card, like you said, in the cadet deck is pretty insane, and obviously that's the only place it's gonna go. We'll need to see whether or not cadets are gonna be like good again. I'm not sure. I think they're gonna.
Well,
yeah.
I don't know if you could ever even say good again, but like,
yeah.
if they're actually gonna have like some kind of staying power, because I mean, like, to be fair, when Zero Cadets first came out, I think the biggest problem was like it was so spread across different colors, and the only good combination was like fire, wind, or maybe a little bit like that. But like now with all the new Moogle cards in this set, where it lets you tap for extra colors, maybe it's going to be a little more consistent, but I don't really know.
I'm gonna add Chris to the call. Give me 1 second.
All right, welcome him in.
Well, he said he's online, but I don't see him online.
There he is. I remember you said him.
It doesn't say he's online, but he said call him up.
He thought he'd be a little slower on the draw. Oh, there he is. He's getting in. Why, hello, sir.
I'll give it a second. I think he's still connecting.
Dude, I want to know what this ace would look like in foil. Actually, it'd kind of be cool if the one card in the middle that's like not foil. Like, this card will actually probably look pretty neat.
Oh. I don't know if it adds
It's
it
like-
or not.
It's like Naruto art almost.
Yeah, this must be. It says it's from Dissidia, so it's got to be kind of like unlockable, you know, like extra art or something.
Yeah. And it doesn't help that if Frida has that Naruto ceiling symbol on her stomach too. So who knows? Maybe they did.
What does she really? I didn't even.
I'm trying to add him again. See what happens.
Hello.
Gotta love the style.
Oh, is he there?
Nope. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear it? Can you hear us?
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think he could hear us.
Uh-oh.
We can hear him, but he can't hear us.
Houston, we have a problem.
Hold up.
We'll get it working.
Can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear y'all fine.
Alright, cool. We're actually already live. We already started. We're on Ace right now if you want to jump in.
Fine. How-
Legend days.
Yeah, the Legend. The first one.
Sure. Have we gone over the metric for all the stars and all that stuff? What they all mean?
We're just talking through it. Since it's 4 of us, I feel like we'll just talk through the cards and figure it out.
Oh, okay. We're doing it this way. That's fine.
Yeah. And then I'll chop it up later and throw it on YouTube, or I might just throw it as one big video. I don't know.
No, a couple of them we could star them.
I mean, we can go back.
I mean, we're in fire, so it doesn't really matter. They're all 1 star. Doesn't matter.
I mean, so far, one. This
Yeah, it
is like
sounds
a
about
3.
I think Ace is actually pretty good, but he only goes with 1 archetype.
Yeah.
No, that's exactly what he is. I have literally nothing to say about any of the fire cards in this set except for Shadow and Belias.
All right, moving on. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Kristen. Next.
So next-
Shadow.
Next is the other Ace. He's a class 0 cadet backup. When he enters the field, choose a forward opponent controls reveal the top 5. If one of them is a 0 cadet, you deal it 7,000 damage and then shuffle the revealed cards to the bottom of your deck.
Well, I think in title this card would be really, really good, but in constructed, I don't know why you would play this one over the plethora of aces currently in the game. If this was named anything else in Type 0, I think this card would be super good, because I mean, like I said before, if you're playing a 0 cadet tribal deck, its effect is going to be pretty much going off every single time. So yeah, it'd be decent removal if it wasn't named Ace and, you know, constructed.
Yeah, I wish it wasn't named Ace. I think that's what holds it back. This is just a title card.
It's kind of weird that this is in like the same set as the last guy.
Yeah.
I don't
And
even think
then-
it's good enough in title, because what's 7K really killing?
It's not killing a
If-
lot, but like it's better than a lot of the other backups they already have access to. Like right, like if you're gonna play the Anthem, you're gonna play the new Rim that taps for 1K. You're gonna play the Searcher. So really, you have like 2 backup slots open, and like the other backups aren't great. Like Cater, they're all like you have to pay like additional CP to deal like 1,000 damage. At least this deals 7, and it's gonna hit in title, you know. And
Yeah, it's
and-
not hitting much,
and
but I get it, because it's a burst too, isn't it?
no, it's not.
Well, I guess it
Yeah,
depends on like what you're playing against in title too. I mean, if you're playing against like
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 9, they got like multi-Gemini up. You know, it's gonna kill pretty much anything in the deck.
Mhm.
But like against like Tactics or something like that, where everything's like over 9K, 10K, like obviously it's not gonna be doing too much. But I think in the general landscape of regular curve forwards, it's pretty decent removal.
Yeah, it's only a title card though. Like in standard, it's
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
but-
if you play this in constructed, there's something wrong with you. So
Here's
Exactly.
a question about this card, right? So there's actually a lot of these, or enough of these cadets, that do we think in limited for the set draft deck it's possible for Fire Wind, and does this guy make the cut if you don't see?
if you don't see the legend, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I
Or
think so. If you don't see the legend,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that he actually might be like kind of okay in draft with if you might be able to go for like a cadet. It's interesting to have to think about. But yeah, this guy that's maybe in his dreams he gets played, but really title or bust.
Alright, these next two are kind of made me upset, to be honest, when I saw them. So let's start with the first one, King of Elvon, or Elvon. It's a 5 CP, 7k, cat forward. If your opponent doesn't control any forwards, he can't attack. And when he enters the field, you can search for the Queen of Elvon and play her onto the field. And I guess let me just read the other card too, because they kind of work in tandem. So the other card is Queen of Elvon. She's a 3 CP 7k. She can't attack if your opponent doesn't have any forwards. And whenever she forms a party with the king, choose a forward and deal with 5,000. Anybody?
I'm not touching this one. Not touching this one.
Yeah, this is pretty bad. I mean, like, it's kind of cool that you could play a card for free and search it at the same time, but that first sentence really holds it back. It's just terrible. Maybe if this game has like synchro summoning, it'll be pretty cool, but that's never gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, just the first sentence, like, does it really need to be on them? Is what they're doing so crazy that we need to put it in check? Like, even if it wasn't there, it's not like they have haste or anything, and when they attack together in a party, they deal 1 damage and don't kill something. Like,
You're literally telling me not to play the game by playing these cards, because that's what you want to do, right? You want to have bodies on the board that can attack when your opponent does not. That's what the game is about. So
well,
you're telling me if I play these cards, I don't get to play these things are dumb. Just stupid.
Yeah. And plus, like, I don't really understand why they have that first sentence that holds them back. Because, I mean, it's Final Fantasy IV, and to my knowledge, there's no card that lets you search Final Fantasy IV, and Fire doesn't have, like a Ysael or, a Kolka that can search for a Fire forward, so it's not like this is going to be live all the time if it didn't have that first sentence, so it would be like broken, but like, I just don't really understand why Square continues to shaft Fire.
Yeah, the fact that
They're paying for their sins from chapter, I guess.
These are H slots too, which is just so gross. Like, yeah, these are bad. Like, in constructed, these cards are terrible. In draft, it's not completely awful if you get both, just because it puts 2 7Ks on the board. However, it's still not that great. But at least, like, it's kind of playable there.
you have to get both heroes.
Yeah,
this is Lugae and Barnabas 2.0.
This is worse
But
than
for
Lugae
what
and
it's
Barnabas.
worth,
This is worse.
if these guys, dude, if these guys do come in the packs, you're definitely gonna get them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and lots
the
of
player
them.
will get them. Yeah.
It's just rough to play that just to get a Zonde effect on a party attack. Like, that's all it is.
Yep.
Alright. Next card is Gaius. We've seen him before. He's a 60p EX burst. So when he has a field, he searches for Nero, Livia, or Ratatin, and put him in your hand. And then whenever Gaius or category 14 forward enters the field, you choose a forward opponent controls and deal 3,000 damage.
I mean, if the cards he wasn't tethered to weren't, again, tethered by having to play multiple colors, except for Ratatin, I think that guy's pretty okay. But the fact that he's tethered to all these pretty average cards makes him average by proxy or by default, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, if three color decks becomes something to play without having to, like, dedicate to, like, Chaos, Cosmos, Camelot, something like that can play consistently, then maybe they've got a shot at something. For now, there's not much happening.
I can't say it, but is Ridditon the 2-drop?
Yeah, he's the 2 CP
Yeah,
7K.
that's the 2-drop.
Okay,
so
yeah, I
there's
think
actually
that
lightning
card's pretty
lighting
decent.
effect.
Yeah, so I think
Yeah.
that card's pretty decent, and this kind of with that would be pretty good. But like Chris said, all these 3-color dependent cards, like, in theory, it's actually not that hard to pull off because you can pull off most of them with the Moogle cards in the set with like any dual color deck. Because if you're playing, like, let's just say for example, like the Earth one that taps for lightning and then Earth, and you just have the other color, like, you can still use that to, like, try to get 3 colors with just like 2 colors in your deck, but it really is dependent on like the new Moogle cards in the set, so I don't even know if that's even worth it. But that being said, this card by itself, it's okay, but I don't think it's like amazing.
He's 2 color though. Just saying. The colors are just fire and lightning, right?
Well, Livia needs a 3rd color to work.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, but I was like, he works with just 2 colors.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just it's like you have to play that deck, so you have to fill it with all those forwards, and it's a question of if that like package has a big enough payoff, and I just don't think it.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't. I think the last ability is kind of cool. I don't know if that's enough to pay 6 CP for this guy though. Like, I don't think it's enough. I don't think it's enough just the 1-2 CP being playable in fire, paying 6 for an 8K, and just get access to the last ability. So yeah, I don't think it's gonna see much play, which is sad because I was really hoping these characters would be like better in the card game.
Dude, the thing is, if cards like this, like I know that this guy in particular searches for one of the other ones, but if these elements had a little more, especially fire card advantage, like if they had some of those tutors like we were talking about, where you could like reliably get this guy and start the chain, then it would be a bit better. But like you're really depending on having like the right pieces at the right time for this like big, get everything out of the same time deck.
The juice just doesn't seem worth the squeeze. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
All right, next.
Yeah.
next
But
is,
I do think this card has to be pretty good in title though.
Yeah. In title, I think
Sure.
it's one of the few down scions that are pretty good.
Yeah, I agree.
Next is Cyan. It's a 2 CP samurai backup. When he enters the field, all your forwards gain 1,000 power and brave.
I refuse to acknowledge that this card exists. I think it's fine in title. That's really about it.
You can use Cyan's special ability 3 more times.
Yeah, in title, I think it's great. But constructed, nah.
Yeah, the only redeeming quality I can think of is he's another activator for Heian on the backup. That's really it.
Yeah, that being samurai. Much.
Other than that, yeah, I'm still sad that we
But
don't
like
have a
in
better
a
Cyan.
samurai deck, I'd rather just play forward Cyan, who's also a leader, right?
Yeah, but you don't have any 6 characters in the deck. That's the only thing.
That's
And at least like that makes it where you don't have to play Gosetsu to get Heian online. I mean, you could play like Iroha and shit too, but it's whatever. Like, it's not that good. I'm just saying that's a
Yeah,
redeeming quality.
We're stretching, yeah.
Alright, next card is Giju. He's the first Headhunter.
We're all sad about this
2
card,
CP
guy.
5K. When he enters the field, if you have 4 or more job Headhunter forwards, you deal 5,000 damage to all forwards opponent controls.
Now, here's a fire card that once again could have been good. Now, Grant, I think Headhunters in general are going to be just a fun, budgety, casual deck, right? Like something you can give to somebody who wants to play the game. But even then, they're like characters that are maybe get like 8 minutes of screen time total in the game. But like the fact that you have to have 4, and there's only 4. Like, and they're all 2 drops outside of a Gambit, who I think is a good card. But like at this point, you're playing a Godot deck. But if I'm playing a Godot deck, I'm playing better 2 CP.
Yeah, I think they're just a budget deck. I mean, we'll get to the other cards when we get there, but I don't think these are gonna make some crazy meta splash.
Nope, not even close.
Anybody else have anything to say?
No, I mean, like honestly, when like starter decks for other games have these like really weird like 5-turn combos that are like hard to pull off, and maybe you get there. That's what they feel like.
Yeah.
It's just like it's gonna be really cool if you can have them all out and they all live and they're all doing their thing.
Yeah, I mean, how many Earth Cloud abilities have we seen trigger? Not many, and that's
Exactly.
easier to trigger than this. So
Like 4 forwards is asking a lot.
yeah.
But 4 super specific forwards is even harder.
Yeah.
Next up
Hey,
is...
you could always play what you call it, hash my own, change all your guys to headhunters.
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
That's right.
now we're talking.
That's
Then it
secret
becomes
tech.
4 forwards.
Headhunter Bard Tribal. Make it happen.
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
Oh man.
Next up is 4 CP King. He's an AK Class 0 cadet. You can discard a cadet instead of paying for its cost. And when he enters the field, you choose a forward and it can't block this turn. I actually think this card's really good.
Yeah, this card is so cool.
Yeah.
This card is a rainbow cadet card.
Yeah, no, I think this card's fine. I think it's good in limited. I think it's good in constructed. If you are playing cadets, because you don't even necessarily have to play multiple colors, like, or you could play him because like a mono wind is something could be very doable, and then you could just throw through this guy.
Oh, did Chris cut out for anybody else?
Yeah, he's turning into a robot.
All right.
But what he's saying is, you could just throw this guy in, like you said, an off-color deck.
Yeah.
Because you could just discard
Yeah,
the class 0.
I mean, mono wind cadet could be a thing, honestly.
Like, I have an extra rem backup. Oh, now I have a 4K4.
So, I think he's really good, and I think if cadets are like a real deck this meta, I think you're gonna see him.
The music is a little loud.
I'll cut the music down.
Could be real. It could be real.
Alright, I cut it down. Sorry. I think it was only drowning out Chris, but I think it's because he was low.
That's alright.
Let me know if it's any better. But yeah, I do think... I don't know, I think cadets have a chance, and I think it'll be on the back of the ace and this card on whether or not they're good. Well, and one other card that's not in this color. But
we're going to see how... They have to kind of do something a little unfair.
Yeah. I agree. Next up is Clavat. It's a 3 CP fire standard unit, 7k. When it attacks, you choose a forward to deal 1,000, and she gains 1,000 power until end of turn.
Well, for what it does, I don't think it's great, but I do like the art.
Yeah, the art on this card is great.
Yeah,
I
like
think this is a full art card.
Yeah, like all these FFCC standard unit forwards like Labat, Selkie, and all that stuff. I think the art is actually really on point, and it kind of reminds me of like Force of Will. But in my opinion, if more Final Fantasy cards look like this, I think the game overall would be more attractive to play.
Yeah, I agree with that. Otherwise, I think this card's pretty.
Yeah, this card is pretty garbage though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so. I'll go on like a little small side tangent. How come every card that's getting like a rotation of this set either Fire didn't get one or just got the worst one by far?
I was just about to say this is the worst of the 4 of these, and it's so Fire of it.
Yeah.
It's just like if
But
you...
bear with me, Adam. Like, just think of the application of this card, right? What's the key word here? Deal at 1,000 damage. So if you hard cast Diabolus from hand and then you swing at this card, you can kill a 4-drop or less.
Sick. Yeah. Value.
Value,
yeah.
man.
It's
Kageyama was not prepared.
I just don't get it. It's like they're it has to be intentional, right? Like I don't understand.
I mean, so the point of this card is to trade up to a 9k, right? But it's just like,
Is that good though? Like
I don't think so. I don't think so. Like, it's technically that, like, that's what it's there for, right? That's her thing.
Yeah.
She's a little girl with an axe. I don't think it's that good.
Yeah.
This is the worst of the.
I'm squeezing and the juice sucks. So.
Next up is Shadow. It's a 2CV category 6 red backup. That's probably the most important thing. But actually, its ability is good too. For a fire duel, put it in the break zone, choose a forward, deal 8,000 damage. You can only use this ability if forward you control has been put to the break zone this turn.
This is a good fire because it does a respectable amount of damage. It has a relevant category. It can break itself at a cost that's going to happen in the game. You're going to lose forward. That's the nature of the game. And when that happens, now you can kill something else. And 8K is where a lot of these fire cards. And the fact that you're only paying 3 CP for it over time, that's a good. And again, it's a great way. I mean, this card's clearly going to have a home in fire, right? Because now if you miss Edgar on turn, you now can still get lock online if you have the rest of which you can miss Edgar, but you can still hit everything else. Now it won't.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's basically it. I think he's pretty solid. I think I understood Chris. He cut out of there a couple times, but I think I understood what he was saying.
Yeah. It's if you miss Edgar, he was saying you can get to play the Shadow 2 on turn 1. It does help the consistency of like I don't want to play Gestalt Empire Sid first, but I want to play 2 Final Fantasy 6 backups in a row efficiently curve of the fire ice deck. And like you said, it's a relevant amount of damage. It's really nice that this is 8K. I feel like normally these cards get shorted,
Yeah.
and this guy's definitely going to see play.
Yeah, any of the Eckhards.
Nah, not really. I think it's pretty decent, like you guys said. And if you do pair it with like a good forward that gets a good effect when it dies, I think it definitely really shines in value at that point. Maybe like Firewater with a new Porum, things like that. Could be pretty good.
Actually, it synergizes really well with the new ice forward, I think, too. But we'll talk about that in a bit. I think it's solid. Nothing super crazy, just solid. Next up is, speaking of cards that Fire God does worse than everybody else's, is the
Oh my god, you're right.
is their version of like the pay one when it comes into play and do something. So it's a 2 CP backup standard unit, full of seer. When it enters the field, you can pay a fire. If you do, deal forward 5,000 damage.
Hey man, when you draft that King of Elba and you play that Queen of Elba, then you play this Facilier, you pay 1, deal something 5, and party attack, deal something 5. That's fucking broken.
3-card combo to deal 2 instances of 5k damage. Sick.
Yeah, man,
Or
this is
I
crazy.
could just play 3 CP Irving and deal 6,000.
Or you could just play EXVV for the same amount, actually cheaper.
Yeah, that's
How
what I was just
about
about to
them
say.
apples?
Like this card just
Turns
feels
out.
worse than everything else that does the same thing that people still barely play.
It's like, I don't know. It always bothers me with fire cards. It feels so bad every set. Because
It's just strictly worse. Like there's no two ways to it.
And I mean, now we're coming around to like the last of the fire cards, and fire cards also
Thank
the
God.
only color that did not get a dual land, basically. Like,
Yeah.
how is that a thing? I guess, are they afraid of like Phoenix being too good or something? I don't know. It's just weird. I don't know. We'll move past this card. There's a couple more left. Next is Nail. It's the box topper. So 6CP 9K, category 14. When it enters the field, you reveal the top 3. You can add 2 forwards on your hand. You put the rest of the cards in the break zone. And it has 2 abilities. Remove a backup from the game. Until end of turn, it gains 2,000 power and haste. And then remove 2 backups from the game. Choose a forward, deal at 8K.
Card's fine, I guess. Draw some cards off, most likely. And you can break backups, but you're not really breaking.
Yeah.
So if they have an exit trick.
Yeah, you don't really get there. But it's not like Fire really has a ton of that anyways. I think she's solid. I think she's okay. I think if you get 2 forwards off this, you're feeling really good. And maybe in like a deck where you need the gas at the end of the game, she'll probably get it for you. I think it's a solid card, but like I don't know if it's gonna like again just make waves. Plus it's held back by the fact that you have to play red cards to play it. So it's like I don't know.
Yeah. The turn it comes in though, it's like, hey, this thing is a 11K with haste that is swinging.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think that's
like
really
you're definitely. Yeah, that's definitely you're gonna use that ability probably over the second one.
I mean, it's
not
unlikely, right, that you play this at the end of the game. You sack 3 backups, you kill something, you give this haste, and then off your top deck you get something else with haste because you're playing red, right? I mean, like a Zell or something.
It's actually a decently fiery card, right? Like, hey, I'm gonna like sacrifice this stuff for the all-in, and I wish there were like a couple more like that where the all-in was actually worth the risk.
Yeah. Anything else before I go past this card?
No,
Nope,
not
send
really.
it back.
Alright, next card is another... God. It's a 4 CP standard unit. It's another one of the rotation of like the 12 standard units. It's a Hume, he's an AK. For fire, it gains Brave, and for fire colorless, it gains Haste.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's fine and limited. I mean, you can win a game off of it. It's not seeing play anymore.
Yeah. For the
Yo, our
discounted price
6
of
CP
6 CP,
fire
yeah.
haste card, yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you pay 6 CP for vanilla AK haste, I think the game must be going pretty bad if that's the case.
Yeah.
You better
And I
be
do
winning
like-
after.
Yeah, but I actually do like the whole tap 1 for fire and it gets brave. I think that's actually pretty decent. I mean, he's pretty, he's on curve, so I mean, like, it's not totally bad, but assuming you're playing like the Anthem, it's a 9K with the Brave ability. I think that's respectable, but I still don't see you
Yeah,
cutting space to play this card. But
this guy's art isn't bad, but it bothers me, and I don't know why. He's just like looking to
no,
the
it bothers
side.
me
Looks
too.
really derpy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
I agree. It bothers me for some reason too.
Uh,
Like something I can't pin, but just
it's like he looks like an asshole or something, but he's just on a terrible card. I don't know. I don't know
he
how to
looks like
explain
he has some kind of debilitating critical illness.
dude,
Like,
he looks like they told him he was gonna be a fire card.
it. Accurate.
They were like, "And Hume, you get fire," and then he made that face. Like,
Oh man. Alright, next up is Bogweed. It's another Headhunter, 2CP 5K. When Bogweed attacks, all Headhunter forwards you control gain plus 2,000 power until end of turn.
Cool, but wouldn't you rather just play that other fire forward that's 2 CP that gives you know which one I'm talking about, right? The one that
yeah, Warrior.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, it just gives all your fire guys 2K when it attacks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or
Yeah,
it
'cause
just
you're just playing a better Godot deck.
yeah. You're only playing this guy because of his job. That's it.
Correct.
Because if you want to play, like, if you want to trigger the other guy, you got to play this guy. And if you want Bagandon to be more consistent, you have to play this guy. It's whatever. It's a terrible rabbit hole. It's a cool budget deck. I think if anybody wants to play it, like, if they're just trying to get started, these are all, like, commons and rares, so it's fine. But other than that, yeah, it's not making any waves. Next up is Belias. It's a 1 CP EX burst. Choose a forward. During the turn, it gains plus 1,000 power on first strike. Draw a card. If you have received 4 points of damage or more, it gains haste.
I love this card.
You think we're running 6 Belias? Is that like a deck?
I don't think that I didn't say that this is like a competitive card.
Okay.
I just love that there's another cheap like I'm gonna haste a guy.
Yeah, like the threat
Summon.
of it.
I love that. Just like just like the red deck win, like the all-in rush decks. I like that they get like another piece. I think that deck's like important that it exists somewhere. And in this deck, this game rather, those decks are like really absent.
Yeah. Chris, you said you were excited for this card.
No, I think the card's fine. The fact that you have a 1 CP, first strike plus 1,000 power, and if it's mid to late game, something haste all for 1. I think that's good enough. Does this replace the other Belias? I don't know. Is there a deck with 6 Belias? Like John said, the potential for that super red deck wins low to the ground aggro deck. Yeah, that's. But I think the card's fine overall.
I mean, to be fair, this guy is this guy's cantrip, right? Like he's just giving you a card.
Yeah, he's actually netting you 1 CP, right?
Yeah, so like this card is just a good card.
Yeah.
I just don't know if people opt to play.
Yeah, it's really just for me. The only reason I give the slight edge to the other Belias is because it's the haste isn't conditional.
Yeah, it's probably the most important part, right? Like.
Yeah, other than that, I think it's good. I mean, maybe there is a deck that plays 6 of it, or plays 6 Belias. I think it's solid. It can't be bad. There's no way it's bad. That's CP. It's just, will it find space in a deck? I think that's really the question.
This card is so good and limited.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. First strike is a crazy important thing in limited. First strike and 1k power, that's a really good combat trick.
Yeah, this is 1 CP combat removal.
Yep.
Next up is Bergen. God damn it, dude.
I'm gonna let Curtis take this one.
It's a 3 CP.
This is all you, bud.
3 CP AK Cat 12. You can only pay with CP produced by fire backups to play Bergen from your hand to the field. When he blocks or is blocked, you deal 7k to the forward that blocks or is blocked by Bergen, and then for a fire colorless, choose a forward, deal 1,000.
So for once, I won't troll and I'll be serious. Like, this card is just bad. Like, it's really, really bad. Like, if it didn't have the whole restriction with, it can only be produced by fire backups to play, this card would be good, in my opinion. But with that restriction alone, like, we can just look back at every other single card that requires you to play with only backups, like, Water Titus, like the old Type 0 Ice Forward that's like a 9k, 8k, whatever like that. It's a 3-drop, but still, like, no one plays it because it's really tough to devote your entire turn to just play this guy up to your hand. And it's not like he has like a super good ETB or anything like that. But I know a lot of people on Facebook like really like this card for some reason. But I really don't think this card is going to see any play. And if it is going to see play for a bit, it's going to be swiftly put back into your binder.
Yeah, he's really slow. And I just wish it said like fire CP, not like fire backup CP. Like, I don't know.
It's like,
It's
okay.
a card that could have been. This card could have been great, but Fire's they just love putting words on their card that's just like, nah, hold up.
And then like it'd be pretty cool if he could also like put the 7K wherever he wants, you know?
Yeah, dude, that's what I'm about to say. So what this guy does is, in combat, whether attacking or blocking, this guy beats a card with less power than him, okay, or trades with a card with bigger power than him, which is like, I guess, kind of good. But he's already above curve, so he's already traded with cards that are like, you know, kind of bigger. So it's just like his ability, the 7,000 damage seems like a really weird number.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so either he's already winning combat or it's relevant if they're 15k. Like, which seems really strange.
It's relevant
right?
if they're 15,000 power. That's a podcast episode name right there. That's what that is. Yeah, no, I agree. His art is really sweet, though. I know the chat's saying that right now. His art is sweet. But it's just sad that you're only going to see it when you're flipping through your binder. At least that's the way I see it.
Dude, you're going to hear the crippling sentence. Yeah, the art is sweet, but
yeah,
on a couple cards, there's some cards that, man, they got like the full art or like just a nice art treatment, and they're just like,
yeah.
You wish you could play them.
All right, next is Bomb. Another one of this rotation that I feel like Fire also got the worst one, but whatever. It's a 2 CP monster. During your turn, it's a 5k forward. When bombs put from the field to the break zone, deal 2,000 damage to all forwards.
I wish this thing could block.
Yeah, it'd be sweet if it could block, right? Because then it's trading up.
Yep, cards poop.
It's not good. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's like the worst bomb. Or he's not maybe the worst, but I don't know. He's not the.
Yeah, I think I saw on Joseph
bomb.
Fear Street people were saying it's like the best bomb, and I'm like, no, I think it's the worst one. Like, at least the other one's like the effect I could do on any turn I want. I don't know.
When my opponent decides, I may do some damage to their guys.
Yeah, pretty much. I just don't know. We'll just move past it. It's not good. Next up is Rattatan, 2CP 7k. You must control a category 14 forward to play him from your hand to the field. He has Brave, and then his S is just S and Dole. Choose a forward at the end of the turn. If you still control Rattatan, you deal it 10,000 damage.
Gentlemen, this card is an excellent Golbez target.
Indeed.
Decent card.
This guy's a
Probably
great
the best
baby
of
Phoenix
that
target.
bunch.
Yeah, easily the best of like the generals, which is sad because he's like the least important one in the game. He's the guy you kill in like 5 seconds. But again, whatever. Like, I think this is actually a pretty good card.
Yeah,
like,
I'm actually a fan of this card.
Yeah, like you only need Lease to activate this thing, really. And Lease is, if you're playing red, you probably got Leases in your deck.
Yep.
You could be playing Heian
Dude,
if you're.
Yeah, and like the Samurai deck.
Yeah.
This guy's good.
He's got Brave and he's over curve, and like at least his condition, unlike Bergen, isn't hard to meet. And then his S, I mean, like it's not something you're probably gonna see all the time, but sometimes it's gonna kill something. So.
Yeah, and that's not terrible.
His S is like you're just gonna use it in like your main 2 or something instead of attacking with him, right? So his S basically is like just like they actually have a chance to kill the guy to stop the ability, unlike most of their abilities.
You could still swing with him because he was brave, so you could do the little fancy trick,
so
swing, and then be like, all right, before block, do this.
And at the worst, it's just like, here's an S, figure it out, stupid.
Dude, the price of the S is the price is right.
Yeah,
that's exactly what
like,
I want an S ability
it's
to
like
cause.
Cyan, right? Except he's a little cheaper.
That's way better, right? Than
well, Cyan removes
Cyan.
from the
You
game.
have to wait.
You have to wait for this too. End of this turn.
Yeah, but Cyan you have to wait like the next
main phase.
turn,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So you want to use it on like their turn, and then hope he doesn't get killed.
Yeah, usually it's Cyan.
It's the same amount of window.
It's a little. You're right. It is a little different. Cyan. There's a little slightly bigger window for Cyan than this guy. All right, we're done with fire cards. That's it.
Thank God.
All right, guys, let's cheer up. Here we go.
All right, so now we're at ice. So
Uh-oh.
I actually kind of like this card, but I don't think it's worth it yet. It's a 3 CP Varus. backup, category 14. When he enters the field, if the cost to play him was paid with CP of exactly 3 elements, you can search your deck for a card and add it to your hand. And then for 2 colorless, Dull Break, choose a category 14 forward in your break zone and add it to your hand.
I don't know what to think of this yet. I think this is going to be a card that when 3 colored decks become a legitimate, consistent thing, this is a card you'll revisit.
Why couldn't this guy have been lightning?
Yeah, like a more uncolored thing, because right now there's like Rip Thaumaturge, right? That was like the best target, but
All the other Final Fantasy 14 like villains are fire or lightning.
yeah, I don't know why he's in this awkward color. I think they're trying to get you to play like 5 color 14 or something weird. I don't know.
I would try 3 color 14 because of this card if there were relevant like 14 cards in ice.
Yeah. I do like it. I just don't think it's good right now.
Yeah, he's really close to being a really good card.
Yeah. So, and I really want a 3-color deck to be good, like a legit 3-color deck to be good.
I'm glad you said that, John. That kind of sums up Opus 9 in general. There's a lot of could have been good.
But that's kind of cool, right? Because in the future, like these cards have potential to get like unlocked.
Well, I actually don't think that this card is too bad right now. If you think of like Urianger Mill,
Yeah.
Certain builds do splash ice in it, like Sid Reigns and things like that. So like you can still pay, and of course you're playing a whole bunch of colors, so you can use that. And you can use this to get like Urianger from Breakzone.
Yeah, that
so,
I was thinking. I was trying to like brew around that earlier today, but it's like
like
every time I was doing it, it was like I look at the list and I'm like, this just seems worse than Earthwind. I don't know. Maybe I was going trying to go too far in one direction, and maybe just play this guy in that deck, like you're saying, and that's good enough.
Yeah, it's just like I cards like this, like you really want to have synergy on like more than one level, and you can like force it to like trigger all its stuff and be a good card. But like, man, I really wish that like it's really close to having a much better payoff with just like one good ice guy. Like, damn, his son should be ice.
Yeah, his son is fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's in the last set. Alright, next is Vayne. I know we might be divided on this one, I'm not sure. So 5 CP, 9k, category 12. All fours your opponent control gain at the end of your turn. If you don't pay 1, break this forward.
I think this card is good. I think it's a really good card. He has the wrong name. The other Vayne is just such an ass beater. There's no reason to not consider, and we've seen that at recent events. 2 Vayne, 3 Vayne of the 4-drop, like that's kind of where you want to be at. I just wish his name wasn't Vayne. Named anything else. I think that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I think even through that, in my opinion, he's still like kind of okay. I don't think he's bad. I think a lot of people will try him out because his effect, if it's left unchecked, can be pretty strong. I think he's a win more. I'll end on that, but go ahead, Curtis.
Yeah, he's definitely a win more card, and I'm like torn between saying whether he's good or bad. Because I'm just like trying to think of like an opportune moment of when you play this card. Do you play this card when they already have a big board, or do you play this card, like in anticipation of them playing more forwards? Because if you play it on a board that's already established, like they just don't have to do anything.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah,
they
just
can either kill Vayne, or they just keep the cards in their hand and they just tap CP to keep their forwards there, and you're still in the same position. And if you play it before they actually play a bunch of stuff, they just won't play things to like, unless they're dumb. They're not going to just like dump their hand and be like, oh shit, I have to pay 1 to save my forwards. So I think like it definitely is a win more card, but I'm super confused as to like when in the game that you would play this and get the maximum value out of it.
Yeah, anything else, John? Before I'll jump back in if you don't.
No, I mean I think it's really, really interesting.
Oh, I do. I like the fact. Sorry, I didn't even cut you off. I like the fact that it's not an ice card that just dull and freezes or discards. I do like that.
Dude, this guy has a field ability that grants your opponent's forwards an auto ability. It's just it's slow.
Yeah.
and it's like so I was likening this to like a condemn, basically, right? He puts like a condemn or a doom spell on your party, and in any Final Fantasy, it's like, all right, you got 60 seconds to kill the boss, and you know what happens? You kill the boss in under 60 seconds every time.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So it's
You
like,
would actually be
yeah,
really fun though. Like I think a fun combo with this would be like Ultimecia from the starter deck. Like you play well
Okay.
if you have this on board and they tap to like save all this stuff and you're like, all right, Ultimecia, freeze all your backups. That could be fun, but like I don't see that really being a thing.
Yeah.
yeah, like if you want to make a taxman deck, like this guy's great in something where you're just trying to bleed them of their resources, because he does say nobody sticks around unless you pay. But I think that he's like in any kind of like right now constructed ice, like the meta decks, he's really a win more card
Yeah.
in like a spot that is a little tough. Like this is a really clogged part of the ice list, is the high end.
Yeah, everything that I would want to do in conjunction with them is either like too expensive or like I'm already winning if I'm in that situation. That's kind of where I am on the card. Like, I don't. He can't be bad. It's just, I I don't know. I don't see him being like again. I don't see him making like waves in the meta like crazy.
This guy's like Arden. It's like, hey, I've got this big problem that you have to deal. Oh no, what are you gonna do? And it's just like, I'm gonna just deal with it.
Yeah. All right. Next is Quistis, which is a 4 CP EX burst, 7K, category 8. When she enters the field, you reveal the top 5. Add a category 8 forward among them to your hand. Put the other cards on the bottom in any order. C candidate forwards you control gain 1,000 power. And then for S, Ice, Dole, reveal the top card of your deck. Break all forwards. Opponent controls with the same cost as the revealed card, and then add it to your hand.
This is a neat card. I think it's probably one of the best of the 8 cards we've seen in a while. Obviously, it's a monster title card. I can't wait to see what people do with this. I think this is a card that has a lot of upside, and you're playing a different kind of deck, and you're, making this the focal. So I don't know. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I think it's actually pretty interesting. When I first saw the card, I was kind of bummed out because I thought it was kind of bad. But like revisiting and think of like other cards in the game, I think this card could be pretty fun to use at least in a competitive setting. And like you could pair it with like Yule and look at the top card of your deck and just be like, all right, I know what I can kill this turn. So like I think it'd be pretty cool with that. But I don't know how consistent that's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they put in a lot of Final Fantasy VIII ice cards in this set, and I'm sure that there's like the deck where they're all in there together just has so many synergies, and with a lot of the other 8 cards, like a fire ice or an ice lightning deck, that could happen. And this is like really really good if you're going like all in on one of those packages, I think. And in title, this card's great, but
Yeah.
I don't know how great those packages are when you go all in on them, and we'll have to see. I mean, those cards do have a lot of abilities that they get, a lot of synergy.
Yeah, and actually, kind of thinking on other cards too. Like, Adam, weren't you playing like some new, well, not really new, but like some mono ice deck that kind of tried to bring back Turbo Ice a little bit with like the
Yeah,
Laguna Searcher?
yeah. I was playing like Laguna
Yeah.
Searcher with the the squall that gets haste, and then one of the big squall, I think, and like like
Yeah,
all
because I
stars and
think
stuff with Garland.
like maybe this card could be good in that kind of build where like it's really revolving around of like the fast FF8 cards and like the really heavy discard. Like maybe it could be good to set up for that, but
And
maybe it won't. But we'll see.
honestly, a quick little line here, right? So this thing has synergy with 8 cards and seed candidates, right? A lot of the ciphers are seed candidates, including the one that searches for a witch, and Maya's a really cool card. So it's like there's definitely a bunch of synergies between a bunch of these cards. We'll just have to see if they're good enough.
Yeah, I like the design of this card too. I'm not sure about it. It's really hard for me to judge this one. If the 8 is pretty good in ice, and we're running some kind of 8 ice deck with seed candidates, I think it's really good. And then the S is just kind of like there and can be used. But,
Yeah, when we get to Renoa, I think that like there's a lot of interesting stuff about this title in this.
Next is Airborne Trooper. It's a 3 CP 8K. Airborne Trooper can't attack. When a forward other than the Airborne Trooper enters the field, it loses all its abilities until end of turn. And it's a standard unit.
Eh,
It's a limited card. It's a limited card, I think.
yeah.
Yeah, and limited I think it's pretty decent. It's a good blocker. It's over curve, and then when you play it forward, you have the option to attack with it if you want. Standard, yeah, I don't think you're playing this card. Just play like a Shock Trooper or something instead if you want to have fun with like ice standard units.
Yeah, I mean, it's a card.
Yeah, we'll move on. Next is Zalera. So 1 CP, ice summon. Choose a dull forward of cost 2, 3, 5, or 7 and break it.
Wow. This card is really good. Is this the first time we've been able to just say that? Is this the first card so far? Oh my god, this card is...
No, it's a great rate. Break Sephiroth for 1 CP. Break all those amazing 5-drops that are in the game for 1 CP. Break Chilinka and Lock, all these amazing 3 CP. Break all these 2-drops that are just an absolute pain in the ass. It's not going to replace Big Zalera anytime soon, but boy, is it a great just like a great piece that you can just leave like backup Edward up, and it's like, what do I have? Do I have Silent Verse or do I have your guy's dead? You know what I mean?
It's just value on this card.
Yeah, I think this card's really good. I mean, obviously.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Yeah, like you're netting CP whenever you're killing something, basically. And if you can kill a 5 CP or 7 CP with this, you're feeling really, really good. So I've seen some people complain this doesn't have a burst on it, but like I don't know what you want, man. Like ice
It's 1 CP,
yeah,
so
ice is already really good. So next up is Sid Alstein. This is another kind of debated card. 3 CP X burst backup. When it enters the field, choose a forward. If your opponent has 2 or less cards in hand, dull and freeze. If your opponent has no cards in hand, break.
Yeah, I mean, this card is fantastic, and in my opinion, I understand that a lot of people don't feel that way, but that feels to me like it does exactly the same thing, sometimes better, and is a more relevant EX burst most of the time, and also frees up that really, really tough high end tonight.
Does anybody
Yeah,
here
I mean
think?
that's the long and short of it.
Yeah, does anybody here think the 4 is better than this card? Just curious.
no, I think this is actually better than the forward in my opinion. Just because of the second sentence, well, yeah, the second sentence, you can actually do something if you have 2 cards or less.
Yep.
Playing ice for quite a bit this format, like I like Sid Alstein, but like if they still have a hand, like it's basically useless almost all the time. Like it's good for a big body, but it never feels good to just play vanilla 9K for like no reason. And with all the ice backup breaking effects like Kuja and things like that, like you'll get value out of this card. Sure, it's gonna be hard to find a spot to play in your backup line because ice has a lot of good backups in my opinion. But if you are looking for that same Sid Alstein effect, I think this is probably a better option than playing the forward, and you can devote other spaces for other forwards.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm
Yeah.
at. Pretty much exactly.
Yeah, the Kuja factor is the equalizer. You know what I mean?
And actually, think about this. I think if you play this card over Sid Alstein, I think the new Laguna goes into Sid Alstein's spot, in my opinion.
Yeah, we'll
Well-
get to that card.
Yeah, him
I was
and
gonna
another
say that,
new
but I
card
was
go in
waiting.
those slots for sure.
Next up is Squall, 4 CP AKC candidate. Cost required to play Squall to the field is reduced by 1 for each category's 8 forward you control. And then when he enters the field or attacks, you choose a character opponent controls and you dull it.
I actually like this card a lot for a couple reasons. I'm kind of ignoring the first sentence where he says he's reduced by other, cost whatever. The fact that he's going to dull something like mono iceless now, especially with Dodaluma gone, or like a lot of them are running the snow backup. So when this guy attacks, he gets to dull 2 things. I think that's pretty good. Just by himself, he can dull 2 things, and then main 2, you slap a Jill Nabat down. It's like, cool. He just took a couple things out. And he's also on curve for a 4K body, which is kind of rare and nice. They literally go 4 CP, 7K, 5. All their 5 drops are on curve. So I think he's good. Is he good enough to warrant a spot in an ice deck? I don't know, but I think he's a good card for just what he does.
Yeah, and I'm actually a fan of this card as well. And I think, depending on what kind of build you make with the FF8 cards, I think that first sentence would be really, really useful. And kind of, it seems, if you're going for like the Quistis thing, a lot of the C candidates are also lightning, so maybe this would be a really good option in like a low to the ground ice lightning deck, because I know ice lightning has never really seen any kind of competitive play within the last couple formats. Um, so if this ends up being like a good combination for that, like being able to dull a character on swing is actually really, really good, especially if you're playing like, some decks that have like things like Edward, where like you don't want to play into it. You could just be like, all right, swing, dull your Edward, play my summon. I think it would be good for that kind of things.
Yeah, he can just attack and activate Zalera on his own.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the fact that it's a character is really
Yeah, it's huge.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, you could shut down backup abilities, like Curtis said, like
Monsters.
the Opus 4 Summoner that everybody's talking about bringing back because of a card we'll get to. You could tap that. You could tap the Edward, like Curtis said. That's pretty strong.
And that's
And,
on attack, so like they have to basically decide. It resolves. You get priority back. It's like we're not in blockers yet. Cool. You can't stop my summon.
yep.
Yeah, card's good.
Yeah, and then obviously in titles, guys, 1 CP.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and even in draft, you're gonna be able to put together
Sure,
like
yeah.
this Final Fantasy VIII tribal deck. There's so many pieces.
Next up is a Zero Dragon Lassie Soryu. It's a 5 CP and 9k EX burst. When it attacks, reveal the top card of your deck if it's an ice card, add it to your hand. Discard 1 ice card, choose a character, freeze it. Discard 3 ice cards, choose a forward, break it.
This card is absolutely nuts. It's so,
So
good.
good.
It's so fucking good.
Dude, look, they did it for you. They even made it look exactly like Sidolstein. They're like, look, you play this instead. This is what you do. You clean swap.
Yeah,
You know, it'd be sweet.
it's a burst too, which is fucking.
It'd be sweet if this was a fire card that read the same. You just replace ice with fire. You could even change freeze to something else. I don't even care.
Change freeze to 3K. Be great.
But yeah, like I think this card's really good. A lot of people are saying I think that it's slow, and I do agree that yeah, it has to live a turn, but you have to kill this. Like it cannot survive. And then honestly, like if you really really want to for 11 CP, you can kill something and play a 9k.
Yeah, and it does freeze a character again. Like that's relevant.
You swing with Squall. You dull their Edward. You're just like freeze it, whatever.
Yeah, I think it's really good. I think it's
And also
really
too,
strong.
like in the ice decks that like Lopez and Oki were running, where you're swinging with everything with snow, just use this guy to like, all right, we'll freeze that guy. All right, I'll discard one. I'll freeze that guy. You lock their board down pretty much every turn when this guy gets to it. Dumb.
Yeah, and if you're honestly in a position where you're like playing, discarding and locking some of their forwards, if they do use removal on this guy, it usually means that like you're still pounding away at them with the other cards.
Yeah, that means Orphan's still getting in those guts.
Yeah. Also, it's a burst too that draws you a card in mono ice. So.
That
Yeah, that
doesn't
burst
say
says
draw you
+1.
a card. That's the best part.
Yeah, it doesn't say draw, but you do have to reveal it. But this is fine. Like you're gonna put it in your
that's
hand. So
And if it's a dead card, you just discard it to free something.
yeah. Next card is Terra. So 4 CP, 8k, Cat 6. If a forward is dealt damage by your summon, increase the damage by 2,000.
That card's fine.
Yeah, I don't really think. I think she's more of a fun card again. Like I don't think this is going anything competitive, but it could do some cool stuff.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
she's another fun combo card. It's kind of annoying because like it's another slow Terra, but she could have been cool if this like effect was on a cheaper, even like a more fragile, cheaper card. Like that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like yeah, I don't know. How much would this backup have to cost to have the same? Too much?
Probably 4 or 5, I would guess. Probably 5.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a really cool effect. It's just a shame that it's so easy to remove it, like to counter the effect.
Yeah, I mean the best stuff that's buffs what Moomba, I guess.
Like really neat. Like any kind of the cleaves is like really cool.
Yeah.
Like if you were playing fire, it's like, oh, I mean, hey, this makes it free to 5k to everybody, I guess.
Yeah.
Baby Phoenix 4k to everything. Like Glazias are doing 9k. Like it's pretty neat. But that's it. It's just neat, really. It's hard to imagine playing this. If you're gonna play a Terra card, you're already picking like I'm gonna play this slow card basically for synergy.
Right.
I imagine you're playing one of the other ones.
Makes sense. Next is
Sums
Hurdy.
it up.
It's a 3 CP ice backup Moogle. When it enters the field, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a character, you add it to your hand. And then for Dole, put Hurdy in the break zone. Choose a category. Tactics Advance 2 forward in your break zone. Add it to your hand.
That card's fine. It's a 3 CP ice backup, so it's in a pretty crowded space or in a space that for some reason people don't like that number. I think as far as ice backups go, I think it's I think it's a good card. It reads very well, but I think it's just a little too low on the total.
Well, it's a 1 CP backup, technically speaking. But
Yeah,
So-
technically, sure.
All right. So I actually like this card a lot, but in a very specific situation. I really like this card in Lightning Ice, right? Because that break ability says break, get shoulder.
yep. Yeah, Lua's still real good.
Turns out.
And the fact that like a shoal on demand in a deck that is like kind of like a few turn kill, like hey, I'm just going wide and push your guys out of the way. Just like a board wide haste that I can crack a backup for. Like a backup that didn't actually really hurt me that much to play. Probably put a guy in my hand. Actually seems pretty crazy, potentially. It's actually interesting that it's like a pretty cool piece of inevitability for exactly that deck. Outside of that though, I don't know any targets other than Alua that this guy has that are really that great. I mean Adele, technically, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dell, if you're going like 3 color. If you're playing Lightning Ice, if you want to run like Ewan, he's there. I don't think there's anything in Ice that's not a standard unit like Trickster is there.
Yeah, Trickster is literally the only one, I think.
So, but yeah, I mean, most of the time you just draw a card when you play this guy. It's not bad. And then yeah, the right deck. I think that Lightning Ice deck is where he works. I think.
Yeah, probably. I mean, what's better than one Alua? Just multiple Aluas, right?
Yeah, I've been on the receiving end of
I hate-
Lulu
I hate that
throwing
card.
Fasoyas and getting back Aluas, and this feels kind of like that without the damage being thrown at you. So, next up
Yeah.
is Hun Legs. It's another one of the monster thingies that turn forwards. It's a 2 CP monster. It becomes a 5K during your turn. When it enters the field or is put from the field to the break zone, you choose a forward opponent controls and you dull it. It's not that great. It's better than the fire card.
I was gonna say somehow better than Bomb.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna see play. It's not terrible in limited, actually. It's not that bad, but in constructed, you're not making room for this card. So,
Nope.
all right, moving on. Mind Flayer. It's a 2 CP EX verse. I summon. Choose a forward opponent controls. Dull it. Draw a card.
I still like this card. I just don't know where it goes. Ice summons are kind of crowded right now. They've got a lot of really good ones. Does this go over either of the Zaleras? Are you playing this over Glacia? Are you playing this over any of the Shivas? I think that's kind of where I'm at with it, but I think it's a good card. But I think it's going to kind of hang out there with the 1 CAS, truth be told.
Yeah, I mean, it just feels like it doesn't do enough for a spot in a deck.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be hard pressed to find a slot in a real constructed deck. Not in title. Limited. It's fine.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it would if it dulled and froze a guy and drew a card, sure.
Yeah,
And it's category 4, right?
it is category 4.
Yeah.
Oh, then it's wonderful in title because you just grab this with Rydia and you feel so great.
Ready is 1 or less, right?
Is Mind Flayer 1 or is it 2?
2.
Oh, then never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind. I thought
Yeah,
for
no,
some
our
reason I was
boy-
thinking this one cost 1. Never
Our
mind.
boy should cost 1.
But still fine in title.
An ice water light unit card. I mean, hey, you know what? It's cheap and it draws a card. It gets you to the next thing, and that's what that deck's about. So
Next is Class 9th Moogle. It's a 2 CP Moogle backup that tabs for Wind and Ice CP. I mean, I
Great
think
I like this card a lot.
yeah, I think all of these are good. Honestly, they
Yeah.
can't be bad in my mind. The
I
fact,
mean, like I was already playing Ice Wind for the Crystal Cup, and if I had this card in the deck, it would have made my life much easier. So I think this card is super good because I mean, like Ice is super strong. You add Wind into the mix, you get to play Dio Bolos, you get to play Zidane, you get to play a whole bunch of shenanigans. So I think it's super good.
Yeah, it'll be sweet. If Fire got one. That'd be kind of awesome.
Yeah, that would be just be too perfect.
All right. Yeah. I
If
mean,
fire does have one though,
no.
because you can tap it and then it'll give you fire CP, right?
No, there are none
Blech.
that do that.
All right. Moving on. It's another Moogle, class 11th Moogle. I think there's a cycle of these two. I think there's like 3 of them. For 1 and Dole, choose Ice Forward. You control. He has 1,000 power until end of turn.
Oh, my man Specs. I love this guy.
Specs.
He's checking the data.
These feel like worse versions of like the title buffers, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't like this card at all.
Yeah.
I think it's bad, terrible.
Yeah, maybe it's okay in limited. It's like just a pump that you can hold up in main 1 through like combat, but in constructed, yeah, I'll see it play.
Yeah, it's tough to find room for these guys.
Next is Uke. It's a 3CP 7K standard unit. When Uke is blocked, your opponent discards a card from his or her hand.
I think the card's cool. I mean, it's either take a damage or lose a card.
Yeah. This art's sweet too, by the way. I think this is a full art
Yeah.
set.
I actually like this card a lot though.
Yeah, go ahead. Whatever, if you want to
Oh, okay.
elaborate.
Yeah. Because I mean, like, sure, they have to block it to get the full effect, but I mean, it is on curve, and that's something that 95% of ice forwards below 5 are not. So I mean, like, getting a 7K, you probably have Duke Lord out, so it's gonna be a 3CP 8K. You swing with it, and in the early stages of the game, it's probably gonna kill something if they block, and you're gonna keep your forward there because like most things on curve are like around 7K. Uh, so at that point, it becomes like a pretty good technical removal, I guess, like a pseudo removal. Like you swing if they want to take damage, and they have to lose a forward, and they're gonna lose a card out their hand at the same time if you have an anthem out. So I think it's pretty good for that reason.
So you like it in mono ice
think-
and ice earth, kind of?
Yeah, I actually like it in those combinations, and I think
Well, I was
it
gonna
could
say,
be pretty
think of the
good.
scale toad implications as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say this card is best if you create an environment for it to be good, like where like Scale Toad actually forces that decision to be a rock in a hard place. Because otherwise, I think that your opponent has an awful lot of time and an awful lot of agency to decide how good this card is for you. But if you're putting them in a situation with Scale Toad where it's like, okay, well now you're either gonna have no hand at all of because you're playing it all out, or you're gonna have to discard down to 1, and now it's like that last card or damage.
Yeah.
And then also in like Earth, Earth Ice, this card is actually another thing that most ice forwards are not. It's a proactive kind of. So like, unlike other ice cards or like cards in Earth Ice, like you can't play most forwards until they do something. This one you could just play and be like, all right, now I'm gonna do something. Now you better play something, and then you could start playing your game plan after that.
Yeah. When I first saw this, I didn't like it that much, and then the more I talked to other people about it, I actually don't hate it in ice water. Like, we already play Sarah there. Sarah, of course, gets you like the immediate discard, but we have Gladiator in that deck too, which feels okay to get like a 3CP 7K that's more threatening than Sarah. But I mean, it depends on how much we value the immediate discard. I think is what that's going to come down to, and maybe that's more valuable. But that's an archetype that's not doing a ton of discarding really, anyways. Like, so at least this gives you some continuous discard. I think I like it there. But y'all brought up some great points as well too. I think it's a pretty solid card. And I think in limited, it's going to be also solid. So
Yeah, I agree.
next up is Ghost. So I feel like we're going to spend a lot of time on this card too, because I think this card's pretty sweet. It's a 1CP
Yeah, me
3K, category 6. When a category 6 forward enters your field, you may pay 2 ice. When you do so, play Ghost onto the field. You can only use this effect, or this effect will only trigger if Ghost in the break zone. And then he has an S for S, 2 ice, 2 colorless dull. Choose a forward, remove it from the game, and remove Ghost from the game.
This card's neat, right? Because I mean, it's got the right category and it's in the right color for that category. I like the fact that you can just put a body into play. I mean, yeah, it's a 1CP 3K, but that helps with some things on like maybe like you're playing around a Famfrit at this point, or maybe you are setting up for that super expensive S that has. I think it's a neat card. I think it's a neat title card because that's some more removal for category 6. I don't know. I like it. I just don't know where it goes. I don't know if you're playing it like in a Mono Ice 6 shell or if you're playing in Fire Ice 6.
Mm.
I'm not sure, but I like.
Yeah. Before we continue to talk more about this card, a lot of people have been asking the same question. I think John's gotten this question a few times too.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure. People have
you
asked
want to
me
explain
today
it, John?
about.
I'll let John explain it. He explains it better than me, I think.
Yeah. So people have been saying a lot that you can. The best thing about this guy is that when you play lock, right on the stack, Ghost comes in, and then lock gets to discard. But lock's auto ability, because of the way it's worded, it's called a conditional auto ability, and it actually checks on like the condition, which is when lock is played. If that is filled, it doesn't trigger at all if it's not filled. So you can't like add ghost in. So I've been like linking people to the ruling today to the point where I have it like on my clipboard, and when people send me a message asking, I literally just paste the ruling to them.
Nice.
So unless they say something, I'm like 99% sure this is exactly like technically if you play Pain, starter Pain that we all love, and Yuna gets like added to your field after, you wouldn't draw that card. It's exactly the same. It's worded the same way.
Yeah.
So what about in the instance of say the 3 CP Celeste?
Oh, I mean,
Never mind.
well, so
You have a way
that
to like to bring it into play.
yeah, that'll still work because you're getting to combat and all that stuff. Or like if you Phoenix this guy in, I think Celeste just says choose a forward. I have to reread her, but I believe
Okay.
Celeste says choose a forward, and then at resolution it checks if you have enough. But I don't quote me on that. Even though most
Gotcha.
of the time you're just
We're
gonna
getting
play.
janky
Yeah,
here.
most of the time you're
Well,
gonna play
yeah.
this
Usually
guy.
you're playing this guy.
Yeah, most of the time you're gonna play it when Celeste comes in anyways, before combat even starts. But you can't do it with
Yep.
lock the way a lot of people want to do it with lock, where like say you
Yep.
just have Banana Sid and you want to pitch Ghost to play lock and then stack Ghost trigger to bring Ghost out to like make it where lock has two. That does not work. You can't do that. However, I think this card's still really good in a shell
Yeah.
where we're playing a lot of 6/4s that do things based on 6 characters. He's cheap. He lays an easy stack to Veritas that I can just keep bringing back. And you're probably not going to use the S a lot, but if you do, it's probably okay. It's not cheap though,
Absolutely.
but you know.
No, so sorry to answer the guy in the chat, Astonish. It checks on both the trigger and on resolution. So you need to also control 3 characters when the ability resolves.
Yeah, you can respond to lock and kill something to make it where it will fizzle out, but lock will never be put on the stack unless you meet those conditions when lock is played. That's basically the way it works, if that makes sense. So that's why, because like honestly, like if you could do that, it would be pretty nutty. Like if you're allowed to pitch Ghost, basically play lock for 5, kinda, because you're playing Ghost and lock for 5, off of just like a solo Banana Sid, and then you'd be able to get the discard, but you can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and I think a thing that's really important to point out when we're talking about this card is like the whole like virtual CP thing. Where like technically a card from your hand, right, like a 2 CP forward is 4 CP, right? Because you're using the card itself. When you play Ghost from your break zone, even though you're paying 2 to play it, you're not actually overpaying for this card because you're not using a card from your hand. So it's actually like he's just an efficient dude to slam into play if you happen to have an ice card in your hand that you would rather just be another body. And I think that, especially because Fire Ice is about kind of like pushing, that it's a really cool card for that deck.
Yeah, and then to go back to the Shadow we talked about earlier, right? Now I play this. Do you want to block this guy? And he's going to probably kill something because I'm going to break Shadow to deal the remaining damage to it, you know? That seems okay to me. Because then I'm just going to play another 6/4 main 2 and get it back. Or a 3K is going to deal you a point of damage.
Yeah, I mean, just like half of your forwards now have the ability to, like, if you want, just put another dude in play.
Yeah.
And it just seems.
So, yeah, the 2 ice does make it a little awkward. I think I see Rice talk about that in the chat. For Fire Ice, the 2 ice could make it a little awkward for sure.
It's almost always going to be a card from your hand.
Yeah, I'm not completely convinced if I like this card or if I'm even gonna play it in Fire Ice though. I just don't really. I think it's pretty good, but I don't think it's like as good as you guys are saying it is. Like, I don't think I would slot it in a deck, to be honest, unless someone just proves me wrong. But I don't think it's gonna be like that great. I mean, it's
That's
a
fair.
super like sure it's like a quick body, but like it's super weak and it's not gonna really live. And sure, you could pay 2 to bring it again if you play another forward, but do you really want to pay extra CP when you can kind of save it for like other summons and stuff like that? I'm not really sure. I'm not really convinced if I want to play this card.
I mean, so I think that one of Fire Ice's real big problems is mono water and Veritas in general, just like Famfrit and Veritas effects, because you just have a lot of these like big body guys who you want to hang around on the board. And I just think that it's really cool that this card is like, if you're going to try and add something to your deck to defend against that, he's like a really synergistic way to do that. And if Porum is going to unlock Famfrit's index the way we think it's going to a little more, it might be something we have to look at. I think that's all. That's like another reason that I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
That's all.
So
Yeah.
I think people will be testing it, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it comes out. So
For sure.
next up, okay, first off, this card's nuts, but I'll read it. 5 CP Laguna 8K. When it enters the field, you search for an ice forward. You add to your hand. Pretty short,
Yeah.
sweet.
Card's dumb. Card's really good.
I think it's one of the best cards
I
in the
like
set.
This
Yeah,
card is like
it's a 3
boring,
CP8K.
but it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, this card is. I don't know why this card was printed.
Yeah, find S ability.
Well, I also love that I could play this guy, grab Setzer, then play Banana Sid, then get locked.
You can play this guy and then get
Yeah.
banana.
Like
It's just
I
like
can just start any value train in ice. You know what I mean? I love that shit.
any combo, anything,
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
it's just on a huge stick.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
okay.
I think the fact that it's technically it's over curve is a big deal. I think kind of like what Curtis was
Yeah.
saying earlier with the uke.
Mm-hmm.
You're really only paying 3 for this, and it's going to be a
Mhm.
9K with Duke Lard.
Oh,
Yeah.
and do I really mind playing this over other Lagunas that only see play in like niche decks? No. Oh, and is it category relevant? Yeah, sure, it could be. Like, great.
Yeah,
This is a good card.
yeah. You thought you hated Sephiroth S now. Wait till this card's out.
I can now get it and have a overcurved body on the. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I don't want to
Card's
spit.
good.
I don't want to spit too much time on this card because it's obviously nuts. I think so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next is Renoa. She's a 2 CP 5K category 8. When Renoa or category 8 forward enters the field, you select one of 3. If the card was Squall that you played, you get to select all 3. Choose a forward dull, choose a forward freeze. Choose on category 8 forward until end of turn. It gains 1,000 power for a strike.
It's a monster title card.
Yeah, it's really
Okay,
good.
so I think that the thing that's most important about this card is that it's when Renault or category A forward enters your
Yep.
field, right?
Mhm.
And with the 2 CP squall, so like everybody's looking at it with the squall from this set, and it's cool because it gets all kinds of keywords, but the one it doesn't get is haste. And it's important because for this turn, it gets 1,000 power and strike, right? But the other squall says if they have 2 or less cards in their hand, he basically gets everything except the extra power and first strike. Except now she's going to be like, when that guy comes into play, you dull one guy, freeze a guy, give him power and first strike, and he'll have haste. I think that this deck that I was talking about before with like the Quistis and the Laguna and Renoa and Squall is actually like enough pieces that this is somebody's going to be testing this.
Hey, Deep Ground Soldiers, there's a Final Fantasy 8, right?
7.
Another 7.
Ah, darn it.
Yeah,
That
but I
sucks.
mean, like I said, the fire, ice, or the ice lightning decks could be interesting.
Yeah, and I do think that this card is actually really good, and it could still be good in like constructed as well. Because if we're going back to like the Quistis, like lower the ground Final Fantasy 8 tribal deck, if it is like going to be in that kind of style, if they don't kill this card early, then you're just going to constantly just lock down their guys, and you're just going to go in for every single time. So I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, the card honestly does a lot for an on-curve 2CP body.
Because you've got this Squall, New Laguna, Ultimisha. Ultimisha's category 8, correct?
She is. Yep.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of goofy shit. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Next up is Lock. So 4 CP backup. When he enters the field, you select a card type. Turn over 1 card at a time off the top of your deck until the selected type is revealed, and add to your hand. Then shuffle all other revealed cards and return them to the bottom of your deck. I think this card is
God,
sweet.
what a cool combo card.
Yeah, I think this card's sweet. Its name is kind of unfortunate, but I don't think it really goes in the same decks anyways. It's fine.
This card
Yeah.
definitely goes in a lot of decks that the other lock doesn't. This card is
Yeah.
just good.
Yeah, I think if we ever see like some like nutty combo deck, which we saw a glimpse of one like last weekend, but I think being able to like, for instance, like say we only play 3 of one summon in our list and it's like our win con.
Like Earth Ice with Glacia.
Yeah, now we just get it. You just play it and you're like summon, and you flip and you're gonna.
And then you get a free shuffle on your deck.
Yeah.
And I also think that this is actually really good with that water ice Agris deck.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, like,
That makes
you're
sense.
not really playing any other 6 drops. You just drop this like first turn, be like, all right, 6. All right, so I start Agris. All right, play Agris. Every card in my deck is going to be live off this 3-drop plus get value. I think it's pretty good.
Well, you'd have to call it forward, right, and then hit.
Yeah, you have to call the card type.
Oh, it's a card type. Oh, no, I thought it was just call CP.
No,
No, oh
that
my
would be
God,
way
oh.
better.
Oh, God, that would be so good.
Yeah, that'd be way
No, so basically for the card, it's like, I think summons and monsters are the ones that make the most sense, right?
Mhm.
And it's like if you decide to play 3 summons, this card has a 100% hit rate on that summon.
Well, the nice thing too is if you play this guy just in like a regular deck and you play him turn 1, you're guaranteed to have a second backup.
Yeah.
So
That's true too. Yeah, you just back up. There it is. I think it's really cool with like you want to play Ice Wind and you play only Death Gaze, your only monster in the deck. Well, guess what? Search for Death Gaze.
Yeah.
Yep.
Also,
It's
Yeah,
literally
scratch what
a
I
card
said.
on demand.
yeah,
Scratch what I said, but I still stand by. It's still good.
yeah. Also in title, you can play 12 locks now. So
Which is
have
not
fun.
terrible.
Have fun with that.
In title, he has a 100% hit rate for a raid.
Yeah, you summon. You get your raid. Next up is Numu. It's 2 CP backup. When it enters the field, you can pay an ice. When you do, choose a forward or monster, dull and freeze.
Probably one of the better of this cycle. I don't think it's the best one. Probably a good limited card. I just don't know where it sees playing constructed. I just don't. There's a lot of other great 2 CP backups that Ice is playing, and I just don't think this is.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
I mean, I love this old shaggy dog, but I need to see a new trick. I think this is not enough.
Yeah, I think it's pretty average. It feels like a limited card to me, more so.
Yeah.
I think we have 3 CP Dull and Freeze backup, right? Maybe not.
Yeah, Time
Like some
Mage
kind
or
of
whatever
bard or
it
something.
was.
Time Mage something.
Yeah, the bard,
Chemist.
bard, right?
Bard.
Yeah.
This is just like, I mean,
I'm just gonna start naming jobs. Chemist. Toll booth worker.
Chemist,
That's the one.
alchemist. Yeah, toll booth work.
Okay, that's the last ice card. So now we're in wind. So first card is Araman. It's a 3 CP monster. That's a 7k forward on your turn. When it deals damage to your opponent, you choose a forward that costs 5 or more. Opponent controls and break it.
I mean, hey, whoa, it's a heck of an ability.
Can we get a good Araman?
But yeah,
Is that
I don't think it's a slow ability. I mean, damn, it sure stops them from playing 5-drops, which seems to be the only thing Armaments do. Is that like the Armaments hate expensive things? Are they frugal creatures?
Well, I guess it's
I don't
because
understand.
in the game they have level 5 death, right? I think that's what they're going for.
Yeah, I guess.
So, but they also have other abilities too.
Like I think of like confusion when I think of them, right? Like muddle or confuse.
Yeah. Anybody have anything nice to say about this card? 'Cause
No,
I
not
don't.
really.
Okay.
It's green.
Next is Adele. It's a 4 CP 7k. Text advance 2. If you control the category, text advance 2 forward other than Adele, she gains 2,000 power and haste. And if you have 5 or more backups, she cannot be blocked.
Card's cool. There's still no reason to play this one over the old one. I think the old one can
I
just.
think the old Adele is just better.
Yeah,
all
just
way.
wins you a game on the spot sometimes. And
Yeah.
we've seen that happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Title card.
Yeah, I think the old Adele's better. Unless Lightning Wind tags advance 2 is like some crazy good archetype and standard.
Unless you want to
Sure.
play the Lesaford lottery, dude.
Yeah.
You play it as your fifth backup, and you're just like, let's go, come on, hit me Adele one time.
That's a sick deck day. Make that happen.
The Lesaford Lottery. Yeah, that's also a great podcast episode
There
name,
you
too.
go. We're just knocking them all out.
Man.
Next
Touch
up,
and go here tonight,
next up
boys.
is another great card. It's Vaughn. He's a 3CP7K. You can dull 2 active Sky Pirates forwards instead of paying its cost. That's it.
I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. I'm going to open the first one of these and I'm going to immediately rip it in two. This card is shit. Pure, poopy, steamy, just shit. This card is it's a do nothing. If it had, like, this is another one of those cards that, like, we play the game. If it had back attack, it'd be better. If you paid the alternate cost and it did something, it'd be better. Fuck this card, and it should have never been printed. It's just a waste of cardboard, and it's a waste of a beautiful piece.
Yeah, the art is sweet. Yeah.
Yep.
I think in order, like, so this is like Convoke and Magic, right? But Convoke does something. So
yeah, usually you get some sort of payoff for doing that.
Yeah, typically cards don't just say Convoke on them. They have like
Yeah,
other
but I mean, I think this Vaughn is only going to be seeing play in title.
It's barely.
But,
It's
like,
not even
there.
there. Not even
Well,
there.
yeah, I think it actually could be good in title though, just because you tap your forwards for Van. I'm being serious this time. You tap your forwards to play Van,
And you play
then you play that one card that reactivates all your Sky Pirates.
Yeah, that's the other Vaughn.
Like I think that's still pretty decent. Like in that deck only, but
here's
like
the thing, like with 12 title, I'd rather attack with be bigger, and then main 2 it out and apply insane amounts.
No, but
of
I mean, like
this
before
guy
combat, like main phase 1, you tap your forwards, you play this, and then you just play Vaughn, and then just reactivate. You get to do the same thing. Like, it really depends on how you want to do it, but still.
Here's the thing. If I'm running this one, it's only going to be a one of. But again, like if I'm going to get activations like that, I'd rather do tricks with Balthier. But to be fair, we'll get to another card. There is a new Fran that we can talk about that may be tapping 2 Fran backups to play. No, it's Sky Pirate forwards, I believe it says. Or does it just say 2 Sky Pirates?
Forwards.
Fuck this card. I stand by my decision.
Yeah, it's only forwards. So next is Vieira. It's a 2CP standard unit wind backup. When it enters the field, you can pay a wind. If you do, deal 3,000 damage to all forwards opponent controls. Hey, look, a Frida on a backup.
The card seems good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is the best of this cycle in my opinion.
I think the water one might be better.
I like the water one.
But,
that's the one that draws a card, right?
Yeah, it sure does.
Yeah, that's pretty good too.
I think though this is gonna struggle to see like find a spot, but what it does is good. Like it's Battle 4 on a backup basically. So
yeah,
I just don't know where you're gonna put it.
Just to backtrack real quick, why couldn't Vaughn have back attack?
I don't know. They're really like protective of that keyword, I think. So, but yeah, I don't know.
No, they sure gave it to a lot of bad cards this set.
I'm gonna take a Sharpie and write back attack on it and see how long.
Hey.
So next is Edge. It's a 3CP 7K Job Ninja. It has back attack. You can only pay with CP produced by wind backups to play Edge from your hand to the field. And then when Edge enters the field, select one of 2. Choose a forward, deal with 4,000. Choose one category 4 forward other than Edge. It gains 4,000 until end of turn.
So what Wind X category 4 decks are there, team?
Well, there aren't any right now, but Barbarisha's 4.
That's true.
I'm stretching here for this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't.
No, I'll give that one to you. Yeah, yep.
Yeah, I don't think this is gonna see much play. Again, this restriction
actually,
sucks.
Honestly, I think this card is decent. Like, I'm not gonna say it's good, but I think it's decent only because it's wind and you have
You have activation and stuff.
So like, I think it's actually kind of decent because you can do like Diabolos, make it a 1K, reactivate your forwards, and then just play some back attack, kill the card. Now you have a 7K on top of playing the Diabolos. So I think it's actually decent just for that, and I think it could be like a win version of Janai.
Yeah.
So like, I actually like this card, and the fact that you have to pay with win backups doesn't bother me just because it's win, because you have the constant reactivation anyways, like Barts and all that shit. So I do think that this card is actually okay. It might be good in my opinion, but I think it's okay right now, but not garbage like Bergen and the other ones.
Oh yeah, I don't think it's garbage.
And it'd be great to like stack a Layak trigger to this thing. Like they attack, they stack, the Layak trigger goes on the stack, you slam this guy in, and you get to activate all those backups that you paid for him with.
Yeah, you can do some cool stuff with that. I don't know. I just feel like in the decks that we're describing, I'd probably rather have a different card. in my deck.
Dude, I just it's another card with art. I wish that would see play, man. I wish that these cards would be on the table.
Yeah, I mean this one has
Hey,
a
real quick,
chance maybe.
just to backtrack real quick, does Vaughn have any other text
No.
after the tap to Sky Pirate?
No.
You get him out and hold him under a lamp and see if the invisible ink shows up.
Dude,
Because
like,
I don't
it's
see
like
it.
I'm looking
I
for the
don't
map
see
on
it.
the back of the Declaration of Independence.
Do you
right?
have your
Like,
decoder
I'm hoping
ring?
there's
I mean, if you
something
were the
here.
king of games, you could have secret hidden effects that you get.
God, that's what I'm hoping for.
Actually, it does have. It says, drink your Ovaltine."
Oh, a crummy commercial. I've been got. God damn it, Vaughn, you got me.
Next up is new Shimhaze. It's a 2 CP wind summon. Select one of 3. Choose a backup, cost 3 or more, return it to its owner's hand. Choose a monster, cost 3 or more, break it. Activate all forwards you control. I mean, I think me and John thought of the same card when we first saw this card, and that's Garnet. I think Garnet benefits from this card immensely, in my opinion. Also, returning a Shan Toto to your hand seems okay for 2, and then replaying it. And then really the only monsters that it hits that's relevant is like Scale Toad and Death Gaze.
Death Gate.
So
Yeah, but so the things about this card to me that just say it's good is you get 3 choices and it costs 2. 2 of the things are unprecedented like summon effects. So choosing a backup and returning it to the hand of 3 or more for wind is, I know that people are using Bismarck to return Chantotas and stuff, but to be able to bounce their Minwoo, that's good for wind. To be able to bounce Minwoo is a big deal, like in the middle of a stack or your trick or something like that. To be able to return an Anthem, to be able to bounce anything like a Star Sybil or like a Devout that they like intend to use or things like that. It's actually just like way better than anything that is like a body that bounces, like the Sid. Bouncing your own stuff, of course, is just great. Like replaying Mion is fine.
yeah, that seems good.
Yeah, and then like activate all the
Well,
forwards
you can't get me
You
because
can't Meow, it's
3 or more,
3.
3 or more.
Oh, 3 or more. You're right.
Yeah.
But activate all the
Replay
forwards you
that Alaria,
control
though.
also just seems great on 2. This card is it's like the only thing about this card is what do I not play to play this? But it just does so much that it solves a lot of problems that, like, if any of these things are big issues, like we didn't have efficient 3-cost monster removal, and there's a lot of it in this set.
Yeah, I think the deck that's easiest to slot it in again is like a Garnet deck, which is mostly water. It's gonna be mono water with this card in it. I think the last selection on here is borderline unfair in mono water.
Yeah, I love this card in that deck. Absolutely.
Like,
and also too, right? Look, the whole activate all forwards thing for 2. That's actually just really good for wind in general, because it will save you from getting blown up by Zalera.
yeah, that's
Because
what I'm saying.
like
In mono water, like mono water
Yeah,
gets
they get
destroyed by
blown
that
up.
card.
Hard.
Yeah, that card is a pretty hard counter to ice.
Yeah, and we can play this easily with Garnet to buff all our guys by 1, reactivate everything, and it's not as obvious as having like a white mage untapped on the board, you know?
Exactly.
So, like, I think there's a lot of blow up potential for this in like a Garnet deck.
Mhm.
And then yeah, like
I agree.
the returning the backup I think is probably one of the cooler ones. You're mostly gonna probably return your own backup, I think. But
I mean, there is just the potential. I think is really important.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Like,
great
I
too,
don't
like,
have to play Archer to get rid of Minwoo from my Fina Valfor.
Right. Well, also too, right? It feels good when like you're playing against ice and they're leaving that Edward up. You're like, nah, we're gonna take that off the table, right? Boom, bounce the Edward back to their hand. Now you can cast Diabolos free
And it's cool because it's 2, right? So you leave up 3 backups, and that's just like perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Card's good.
Next up is Sylph. 1 CP EX burst summon. All forwards you control gain 1,000 power until the turn and draw a card.
I mean, it's another cantrip, so it has to be like a good card, right? I mean, I don't think you can find room for it, but it gives you.
Yeah, I mean it's
I
limited
think it's
card,
fine
right?
in like maybe like Chocobos or something.
I'm not playing this in Chocobos. I don't need to get bigger.
Yeah, it's like hardly worth a slot to just like I don't know, but it draws you a card, so you're gonna play it in draft. It's gonna get you the next best card.
Yeah, and draft is pretty solid, I think. Next up is 7. It's a 3 CP. It's a cadet backup with back attack. When 7 enters the field, deal 2,000 damage to all forwards opponent controls.
Yeah, it's poop.
You can use Snake Bite 3 more times.
Yeah, that's probably about it. Yeah, it's not great. I don't think it's going to see much play at all. I think it has a bad name, too.
The forward 7 is so cool. It has such a unique special ability and gives like your whole tribal deck an effect.
Yeah.
I can see why
I
you
love how you were yawning your ass off while you said that. That's how exciting this card is.
This card is rough.
Next up is a
Love
new
it.
Selkie. It's a 3 CP 7K standard unit. When Selkie attacks, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a win forward, add it to your hand.
I think
I
it's
like it.
decent, but I don't know if you'll find space in it in like mono wind.
Same.
This card art is great.
Yeah, the art's really
Yeah,
sweet.
I like the art. Yeah.
It's a cool limited
art's
card,
neat.
too. Like, if you're in heavy wind and
Card
like a
is
draft.
awesome limited card if you somehow if you get heavy wind. But yeah, I think wind is always really contested. But still, it's just like it's technically again in like a mono deck. This card like has value, but it has to live to have the value. Wind is the best color for standard unit kind of mono. But yeah, I think it's tough to find a spot for it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Next up is Chocobo. It's a 4 CP 7K standard unit. When the card named Chocobo you control forms a party and attacks, all forwards in that party gain 1,000 power until end of turn.
Poop.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's not good,
It's
yeah.
poop.
I don't think it's
Yeah.
going to see play.
When
I
I
mean-
first read it, I thought it said if it forms a party, it gives all forwards you control 1,000.
Well, so the
That'd
nice
be
thing,
better.
the nice thing is it counts all Chocobos, not just itself. It says
Yeah.
any card named Chocobo forms a party. So like if you party attack with 2 Chocobos together, it actually triggers twice. But it's 4 CP.
I mean, do you
it's
really
under
need
good.
to be that big
No.
in that situation?
No,
So I
'Cause,
think
like-
most of the chocobos you party attack with do that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
They're-
and they do like plus
Yeah.
3K, so it's like, do you need to be any
you don't.
bigger than that?
You don't.
'Cause-
I'm just noting that you can do that. No, I don't think. I guess it's nice that Chocobo Knight's getting 4 CP cards that it can cheat in, but other than that, like,
Yeah,
no.
it's like Chocobo Knight can finally live his best life and play a 4 CP card, and I guess it's a Chocobo that it's another 7K body Chocobo. It's nice to have the ones that start at a high number, but I just don't.
it's no.
Yeah.
So next up is Fat Chocobo. So 4 CP Chocobo backup. When it enters the field, you reveal the top 5 cards of your deck. Put all card named Chocobo among them into your hand and return the others to the bottom of your deck in any order. This card has name clash real bad. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's got a real bad
That's a
case
lot of
name
Opus
clash.
9 for you.
it would be really good
I mean-
if it wasn't named Fat Chocobo.
I mean, like, it's still pretty good
It is.
if you're playing like a Chocobo deck, because obviously you're gonna plus a shit ton with it.
Yep.
But like, I don't know if you really want to not play the
You're-
5-drop Fat Chocobo, because I think that's pretty integral to that deck in the first place anyway.
I don't think you are. I think like the only way, and every time we get into this conversation of like you can run both and maybe like Mion or Shimhaze back to your hand, it just never works out when you play it. It never works.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Like if only he had a different name, like Chubby Chocobo or Portly Chocobo. Just
I like
not
But
Fat
Fat
Chocobo.
I
Chocobo
guess-
Crystal Hunt.
I guess maybe because of the new Shimhazai, maybe you can justify playing.
it's not gonna work.
Both?
It never works. I remember like when the backup sensor came out, we were gonna try to do that. We tried it. It was not good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll just break it with Kuja and then
Yeah.
I'll nope.
Yeah, so it's just every time I try to do that, it just never works. But I think the 5 CP is gonna be better than this card, sadly. So next up
It is good. It's
yeah.
just
Yeah, next up is Deuce. It's a 1 CP 3K. Forwards other than Deuce you control gain 1,000 power, and cadet forwards other than Deuce you control gain 1,000 power.
hello, double anthem. Hello,
Card's
really fun Phoenix target.
Yeah, I like this card a lot. I think if like cadets make a comeback, I think this and Ace are gonna be the main reasons, probably.
And I like this card
Yeah.
because it has implications outside of cadets.
Yeah, just having like the 1K anthem, just in general on like everything else is kind of nice. Maybe you just pair it with like Lease, But I think at that point you're just
Yeah.
gonna play cadets anyways. Like you might as well just take advantage of all the buffs.
Yeah, and if Zero Cadets are actually good, like every single forward in that deck is going to be so fucking
They're
big
gonna be
because
huge.
I mean,
Yep.
this is going to pump them up. They have that old Moogle backup that pumps them up. Maybe if you're feeling adventurous and you play Maria, that's going to pump them up. It's going to be pretty hard to kill any of them in combat.
They're all plus like 5K at this point. That's beefy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lease
Man, that
also
sounds like
slots in that
something.
deck too.
Sounds pretty good.
Yeah. Moving
Seems
on.
okay.
Balthier to 5CP AK Sky Pirate. Select 1 of 3. Choose a monster 2 or less, break it. Choose a 4, deal it 4,000. You may pay 2 win. When you do, choose a 4, deal it 7K.
You're literally playing this card in title for the monster break because now it's no longer an auto loss. That's really it. And he has the right name for a title.
Yeah, it's a bad standard
Yeah.
card. It's a decent title
Yeah, it's a
card.
terrible standard card.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's terrible. We saw this last set.
Amaranth's brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
but
for
don't you
title,
guys
it's
want to
perfect.
pay 7 CP to deal something 7,000 damage? Isn't that good?
To not kill it.
If
Well, I
this
mean, if
card
you
was
hardcast
red, I wouldn't
Diabolos
be
from your hand
surprised.
first, you can do it.
You got me.
Yeah, I mean, no one expects it.
Next up is Pinello. It's a 4CP, 12 backup. When it enters the field, search for 1 job Sky Pirate, add to your hand, and then for Wind and Dole, choose a job Sky Pirate forward you control. It gains 1,000 power. Ton of turn.
Another good
Yes.
title card. You're going to search for any forward in your deck because you can do that already with Gromus, but now you've got another one, and you've got another 1,000 power buff. Maybe you don't need that second part, but I think it's a fine enough title card.
Yeah. Again, title card's not good in standard.
Yep.
So unless somehow
Pretty
like
much.
Sky Pirates further down the road get something crazy.
Yeah, they're not.
I doubt it.
Yeah, they're not.
Not with Vons like that.
Next is
Yeah, not with Vons like that.
Next is
That's
Fran.
another great podcast episode.
Yeah, Fran's a 2CP backup Sky Pirate. If you control a card in Balthier, the cost to play Fran is reduced by 1. When Fran enters the field, choose a forward opponent controls, deal it 3,000 damage. For 2 Wid, Dole, break, choose a forward, deal it 6,000 damage.
This card's not terrible. I mean, obviously it's dependent on Balthier, but I think this is another solid title card because it's searchable.
Yeah, it gives the Balthier a second Fran to search, or third Fran to search.
Which is never bad.
So I think she's a good title card. In standard, you're not playing this card.
Pretty much. That's pretty much all the 12 green cards in general. It's just kind of how they...
Next up, this card is super interesting. So it's Magus Sisters, it's a 4CP 7K EX burst. When Magus Sisters enters the field, you may search for 1 card and put it into the break zone. When Magus Sisters is put from the field into the break zone, you may remove 1 card named Magus Sisters in the break zone from the game. If you do so, play Magus Sisters from your break zone onto the field Dole.
This is actually my favorite card in the set. I think it's interesting. It's like an Entomb. Like, now granted, there's not a lot of cards yet that... There's a lot of recursion, right? But there's nothing that... Like, there's very few cards that you want them to be in your zone, other than, like, Kuja and Undead Princess.
Archfiends, dude.
I think this is a card that's only going to get better over... And, like, when you can do the stupid, like... I'm living for the day where I can, like, slap a Nidhogg or something dumb in the break zone and then be able to, like, cheat it in from the break zone free. But you need, like, Magus Sisters to set that up. Like, very much like Reanimate. I'm looking for something, and I love this.
Yeah,
I like this card a lot.
Yeah, I think it has a lot of future potential, too.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a combo card.
And it
Yeah,
makes all your
definitely a
draws
combo card.
better.
Yeah, and then like if you're playing Ice Wind, you can set up devout plays. I think a lot of people are talking about this in Ultros, which is a pretty easy connection to make in the set. You could also use it for like maybe Gilgamesh, those kinds of things too. So I think this card is actually really good, and you can recur it too also to keep on setting up your graveyard. So I actually like this card a lot.
And it's a burst, which is great.
Yep. Next is Yasmat. So 9CP 10K EX burst. When it enters the field, when it enters the field or at the beginning of your main phase 1, select 1 of 3. Choose a forward of cost 5 or more, break it. Choose 1 monster, break it. Activate all characters you control.
This card's good. I like it. Or it's a card I want to like, right? Like it does a lot of really good, and I think the fact that on burst it's pretty. The fact that you get you hit that thing on burst, you've got options, and that's really nutty. Um, I think playing it like on the field from hand is kind of meh. But like I feel like it's a card, but like it's what am I trying to say here, right? Like it has an amazing burst, but you kind of feel bad about playing it, almost like 7-drop Odin, right, from like the old one. But I think this just does more than that. So maybe playing it, you don't feel as bad. I don't know. I just feel like in a meta where you're gonna probably have ice still stripping your hand down to nothing. It's gonna be hard to play this guy if you're stuck in top, right? Whereas in Wind Water, which is where I kind of see this guy, you're still better off just playing something like Bart's that you play off of the 5 backups and top down. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? I know I kind of stammered that, but
Yeah.
you kind of see
No,
where
that
I'm
makes
coming
sense.
from, right?
No, so here's the situation. Like we've all played the mono win deck or win, right?
Mm-hmm.
So have you ever been in a situation where you're playing that deck and you're thinking about kickering Athena, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're like, I want to activate all my characters and do the damage, and I'm gonna pay 9. How horrible does it feel to pay that 9? It never feels good. It feels like, man, these two effects are so good, but it must be better to choose one and just, not get rid of all these cards from my hand because it's 9 and the card. Like,
Yep.
this is a minimum 3 cards out of your hand if you tap out.
Yep.
And it's like Fina activates all the characters you control. And so it's like, that's kind of one of the coolest things this card does. And choose it forward to cost 5 or more, break it. Well, I know a card that I'm running a bunch of that does that too.
Mm-hmm.
So it just seems like damn, like you said, this card, no doubt, insane burst. Really expensive to play.
Yeah, I think the real ways to abuse him is he has to live for a turn, and then you have to have a way on
Yeah.
top of that. You have to already be set up to that point to be able to abuse things in your main at the beginning of your main one.
Yeah, because I think this with Yuri is obviously game breaking. Like, if you have Yuri with, like, and I'm assuming you have 5 backups, because, I mean, it's not going to be nice to pay 9 without a full setup. But, like, if you have this and Yuri, and then just, like, on the stack, do a bunch of Yuri stuff, and then this reactivates everything, like,
Yeah,
I
so
think you
Okay,
win.
here's my thing with that.
but wait. You have 5 backups and they're not doing anything about Yuri. You already win.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
kind of the
You
thing.
have 5 backups, Yasmat for more than a turn, and Yuri.
Also,
Come
I
on.
don't think I've ever been in a position where I'm like, I really need to use Yuri 4 times this turn in order to win this game.
The rich get richer.
Yeah.
This is a little like if you're in a position to play this
Hey,
card, you are already in a great position.
Hey, if we like squeeze a lemon onto Yasmat and maybe like run it under a blow dryer, does he give Vaughn extra text?
Yeah, I don't think that works that way.
Actually, if you press them really like firmly together, the face of the cards, you might imprint some of his abilities on.
I think actually, if you put Vaughn on the ground and you pee on him, his text appears.
Yeah, but you can
But
only do it
Nicolas
at 3
Cage has to
o'clock.
be present for that, right?
Yeah, you
It
can only
says
get the
fire
certain
is fine.
angle of the sun when it hits that sundial.
But yeah, I think
Just check. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything with Vaughn.
no, I think Yasmat's definitely a card people are gonna be playing when the set comes out. I hope he's better than I think he is. I was really excited when I read him the first time. I thought he was crazy, and then the more that I thought through and like places like it falls into that category of like win more for me. And so I feel like
Well, he's another one of those cards that, when we've had the conversation about rotations, like if we lived in a world where Diabolos was no longer standard legal, we would all love this guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think also
But that's not the world we live in.
In like Wind
we
Water,
live in a better world.
Yeah, in Wind Water specifically, I feel like people are gonna try him and then realize that like they're gonna try him and they're gonna cut Bartz's, and then I think they're gonna realize that like, hey, I'd rather just pay 5 and use Bartz, or like John said with Fina. I think you're just gonna do that.
Yeah.
So, but
I got into the theory crafting of that, and I was like, this just doesn't sound good.
yeah, it's just the 9. It's the 9 CP.
Yeah.
So. Next up is Luso. It's the other legendary. 2 CP, 5k, attacks advance 2. For each forward other than Luso, you control. Luso gains 1,000 power. If there are 3 or more different element forwards among forwards you control, he gains First Strike and Brave. And then when Luso attacks, if there are 5 or more different elements among forwards you control, deal your opponent a point of damage.
Card's great with Yuri. That's about it.
Yeah, Yuri triggers everything, but other than that, I guess
Golbez,
Golbez.
baby.
Yeah, Golbez.
Every time we're like, well, I guess this 2 CP forward is great if you play 4 of them at once for free.
Yeah, it's just weird. Like he's got his design is cool, but I don't think he's that great.
Yeah.
So. All right, next card. Next is Rem. She's a 4 CP 6K cadet. If Rem is dealt damage, reduce the damage by 3,000 power instead. At the end of your turn, activate Rem. Dole, choose one forward other than Rem, activated.
This card's really cool.
I love that we're getting like all of these combo pieces, but none of them go together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's a cool card.
Yeah, it's another combo card, but there's no combos.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of like things you can activate. It has to be a forward. So.
Mog 6.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, draw a bunch of cards.
Bannon.
Bannon. Yeah, it's a card I'm definitely going to pay attention to as the game progresses. You're not going to play her in a cadet deck, but.
What's Hope do? Doesn't Hope activate like a backup?
This is
this
Hope
like
activates a forward. This is better than Hope.
Okay, never mind. I was like, this is infinite combo pieces.
Yeah. What are you saying, Curtis?
Well, I was just kind of thinking, like, it kind of is sticky with the 3,000 reduction, so, like, it could be, like, a poor man's Thancred, and, you know, when you play it, and with the ping effects of other cards, I think it could be kind of decent, but I'm stretching, but I think it's okay.
Yeah. Next card's another Rim. So 2 CP cadet backup, Dole, give a cadet plus 1k.
How many more anthems does this deck need? Like, holy crap!
I don't think you're playing this Rem outside of title because the EX.
I mean, yeah, you're not playing, but like literally every card just buffs zero cadets.
I attack with my 16k ace.
Yeah. Just like why?
Yeah. Well, the thing that sucks though is like even with these big bodies, they're just still fair.
That was pretty good, John.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's the counter to Bergen. I mean, like, you need that for that's going to be above that 15k threshold, right? So.
Oh man.
They thought of everything.
All right, so that's.
Yeah, I guess Kageyama did think of everything.
That's it for the wood cards. So we're moving into Earth. First Earth card is Heretical Knight Garland, so 5 CP AK. Job Knight. If a forward opponent controlled is put from the field to the breaks on this turn, the cost required to play Garland is reduced by 3. And then for 2 Earth, 4 colorless, until end of turn, he gains when he attacks, deal 6,000 damage to all forwards opponent controls.
That card's fine. I think he has a neat effect. I like the fact that he's a good like post combat play, but I think you're gonna struggle to find room for him.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, for just 12 CP, he can clear their board if he attacks.
Yeah.
Like when you say that, you need to have like a sad Sarah McLachlan song playing in the background.
So I have some feels, right? Because this is the only knight they gave me in this set. It's okay. It's in the color I wish it wasn't in to be a knight that does stuff. It's cool that he like has this reduction. I don't know what deck has room for this.
Yeah, me either. And limited, he's good, I think.
Well, I kind of do like it, just because of the reduction. I mean, Earth has like a bunch of heckas and stuff like that. So I mean, it's not hard to like kill something, like play 2 CP, kill a forward, and then just pay 2 for an 8k guy. And then you're paying 2k for like a Gladiolus for 9. So I mean, like this is still pretty decent with the reduction.
But people don't play Gabranth, right? It becomes like the 1 CP, like 8k.
Yeah, but Gabranth, like, that's required on damage. Like, this is it's much easier to set up for this. Because all you have to do is just kill a forward. Sure. Yeah, I mean, like, it's not bad, and, like, even if it is kind of expensive to do the cleave, like, if it survives a turn, which it probably will, it's at 8k, it's still decent to have that option to cleave in Earth, depending on what you're playing with.
Yeah, you're going to feel really bad if you pay 6 and they kill it on the stack, though.
Well, I mean, I didn't say it's good. I just said it's like a cool option to have.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a cool card.
Next up is Vincent. It's the promo for the pre-release if you play this weekend. Category 7, obviously. When he enters the field, you may put it back up. you control into the break zone. When you do so, choose a Dole 4, deal it 8,000 damage. And then for S, 1 Earth, 1 colorless Dole. Choose a backup of cost 3 or more and break it.
I think-
Is the backup, is that limited to Earth, or is just break a backup?
No,
Any
backup.
Any backup.
So it's break a backup, deal a Dole 4 at 8K?
Yeah, it's
I
actually
think this guy's actually great in
yeah,
the 7 deck.
it's put a
honestly.
backup into the break zone. So I mean, it's a little bit
Oh,
different,
okay.
but yeah.
So if I'm playing like Earth Water, could I break Thornton,
Yes.
do 8K to something, and
Yes.
draw a card?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's pretty okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Adam, I think this solves your problem with Fat Chocobo, right?
Oh yeah, there you go.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Play an
Yeah,
Earth,
even in
Earthwind
the
Problem solved.
even in like a Earth Fire 7 deck, I mean, like, hey, all of these backups, like, I'll play another Marlene, I'll play another.
Yeah, this is better, I think, than the 4 CP Vincent in those decks. Like, if people are playing the 4 CP Vincent in those decks still, some are, some aren't. I think this is better. It also gives you more reason to play Phoenix in that deck, too.
Yeah, I think the card's fine. I think it's fine.
I think it's pretty solid.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to see play in Title or not, but I think it'll probably see more play than the 4 CP Vincent in Standard, at least out the gate, I think, for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Dude, title is so stuffed. I don't know if I can play him.
7 titles is nutty, but next up is Gabranth. So 4 CP, 5K EX Burst. When Gabranth enters the field, you may search for 1 forward of cost 5 or more and add it to your hand. And if you receive 6 points of damage or more, Gabranth gains 3,000 power and Brave. And then it's just S and Dole. Choose a forward, deal it 3,000 damage and 1,000 damage for each point of damage you received.
I think this card's good. There's a lot of big bodies that you play in decks that have Earth, so he's very toolboxy in that regard, and the fact that it's a burst is huge. The rest of his text is kind of whatever, like, but if you can play this guy late, that's fine. But I think the search is really what you're looking for there, and I think that's enough to consider like testing him out and playing with. There's just a lot he can grab, and especially like Ice Earth. I think that maybe like the revamped Earth Wind. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of potential there with him.
Yeah, I like him at Ice Earth a lot. There's a ton of targets there that he can grab, like Sephiroth, Kuja, Cecil. Yeah.
And again, that is my favorite cost for an S ability. I guess
Dole.
besides not having a tap.
Yeah. He could be a Lua, I guess.
Yeah, but like still, like, man.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, also
Great.
Carbuncle, right, too? Do you think this fits
Oh,
in?
he's great in Carbuncle.
So,
Great.
Yeah,
Oh,
He's
I like
gonna
this
grab
card a
you
lot.
Cecil. He's gonna grab you Ico. Whatever other like janky like 5-drop you want to play. I think it's gonna be good.
what were you saying,
It's
Curtis?
basically like a. I was just gonna say it's like a 2 CP that searches you a 5 cost with the cloud ability on the S, so it's pretty decent.
Yeah. Search is Cloud, too.
Yeah.
And like sometimes you just swole.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually don't hate this in a 7 list either. You get Cloud
Yeah,
and
I think he's great there.
Yeah, you
Get you Barrett. Yeah, like you said, it's great.
So, next up is Gareth. It's a 4 CP standard unit, AK. If you control 5 or more Earth characters, gains 2,000 power.
Would you like a double vanilla?
Good lord.
Next card.
You know what's funny? I think this is probably better than the Firewood.
It is. That's the sad
It
part.
is,
Sad.
yeah.
So sad. Next is Golem. It's a 2 CP EX burst summon. Choose a forward, gains 2,000 power to a turn, draw a card.
I'm out of breath. I can't do that again.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
leaves a lot to be desired.
Yeah.
Dude,
I've never
I can't
been
wait for the
so
Earth.
not excited to draw a card in my
Yeah, you're not slotting this in anything. Just play Carbuncle. Like,
Yep.
there's way more upside with
It's
Carbuncle.
okay, dude. They made up for it with the other Earth summon.
That is true. Next is Core. It's a 2 CP, 5K, category 15. If you control Regis, you gain 2,000 power. And when Core or another category 15 forward enters the field, Core gains 1,000 power and Brave until end of turn.
I like this card. If you're playing Mono Earth 15, you're playing probably 2 copies of this guy. I think he's good. He's good for what he is.
He gets actually like weirdly big, kind of quick.
Yeah,
Exactly.
He goes in one deck, but in the deck he goes in, he's pretty solid.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
He's a value card.
next up is Sid Garland. So 4 CP, category 14, backup. When Sid Garland enters the field, reveal the top 4 cards of your deck. Add 1 Earth character among them to your hand and return the other cards to the bottom of your deck in any order. And then for Earth, tap, and break, choose a category 14 character in your break zone and add it to your hand.
This card is great.
Two things. When I first saw this card, I grazed over the set and I thought it was Final Fantasy 15 Sid. I got real excited. But even then, when I actually went back and read the card, I was like, "Oh, this card is still insanely good."
Yeah,
Like he can get.
I think you could slot this into Scions.
Yeah,
you
I think
could.
you can too.
Like getting
You can
back
slot into
Agita.
Scions. I think you can play it in Mono Earth. Being able to get Raubon, like the forward Raubon back, seems pretty okay to
I
me.
think maybe you just replace the Miner with this card.
Dude, yeah, I think so too. It gets a character.
Yeah.
Like you can get
Yeah.
Minfilia, even like the Legend of Minfilia if you wanted. This guy can get Astidians back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Card's good.
I feel like that's pretty
the
solid.
card's solid.
Yeah. Yeah, also, I didn't even think about Ascendian. Maybe there's more reason to run Ascendian than Scions again. I don't know if that's worth it or not, but this guy gets it back, so.
Yeah.
Well, the Earth Moogle gives you lightning CP, so.
This is true.
And there we have it.
Yeah, Kageyama planned it.
Yeah, just like he planned red cards being.
Mono Earth Astidian, baby.
Oh, no, don't you dare. Don't you dare.
So,
or, no, never mind. We're going deep down a rabbit hole that I don't want to go down yet.
yeah, next card is the card that everybody's talking about. So it's a 3CP Earth Summon Mist Dragon. Select 1 of 3.
It's fucking...
Choose a summon, cost 5 or less, cancel it. Choose 1 forward, you control, dull it, doesn't receive damage this turn. Remove all cards in your opponent's break zone from the game, draw a card.
This card's good. This card is fucking good. It's like a proper, like, negate or like a proper, like, counter spell that you can just hold up in your hand. The removing break zone from the game is fucking huge, especially against, like, Viking decks and shit like that. And just, like, the protection's pretty okay. This card is good. There's not a mode on here that is bad.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. This card says
Yes.
Phoenix can suck it, honestly. Like, I mean, it can't cancel Phoenix.
It says
but...
Diabolos can suck it.
Yeah. Well, it can't cancel Phoenix, but it basically gets to decide what part of Phoenix resolves.
Pretty much.
So
You can protect Noctis with some sick fights. It's pretty great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good. I don't think it's like the Apocalypse bringing card like everyone's bringing it out to be on Facebook, but it's pretty good.
Yeah. I do think it might end up being like a staple card, though. I think it's that good.
Yeah.
I mean, canceling
It's
a
a
Diabolos ends a turn.
Just like a counterspell on anything 5 or less. It's the best counterspell we have.
Yeah, I know like water players are like losing their mind because they're afraid they're gonna lose all their Layla's all their Vikings and all their knights.
I'm a
You know
water
what I
player
say to that,
losing my
though?
mind
I
because
say
I'm gonna play it. Dude.
Good. I say good.
Yeah. So and then it's
Well, do you
potential
think,
blow for
before we
Phoenix.
move on to the next one, do you think this is going to be one of those cards that makes, like, Layla Viking disappear for a little bit?
No.
No.
I don't think so.
The thing is, okay.
Because I
I'm
mean,
gonna make you do it.
Yeah.
all right, so like you had like cards like White Mage, which is obviously good against like Layla Vikings and good against like Devout and things like that, and it's played in is a win card, but like no mono win deck was playing it this format, and it's a good card still, but technically it still has that effect to like shut those cards out. But even with this in the mix, I don't think this card is gonna just like eliminate Layla Vikings or eliminate Graveyard Recursion and shut all that stuff out. So that's what I meant before. I don't think this card's like the bringer of the apocalypse, and it's not gonna like shatter the meta and just make Mono Earth or whatever plays this card in that deck like super 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 good. It's gonna be really good. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's gonna be like the end all to the meta.
Yeah. Like, and also, if I play Layla Viking turn 1, are you gonna overpay to play this to stop it?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you
True.
are. Unless you're really that scared of taking damage the next turn.
Yeah, and like it improves your matchup against those decks, right?
It does.
It doesn't like auto win against those decks. There's no such.
Yeah, I like what it does. It makes you second guess a lot of plays that a lot of people are just doing right now that don't require second guessing at all.
I mean, the fact that it's not just remove all their stuff from the game, it's like remove all the stuff from the game, and you know what? Draw a card.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, you know what? I guess I'll just get rid of all the possibility of your recursion, and I'll draw a card.
Alright, moving on. Tonberry. It's a 2 CP monster that's at 4k during your turn. When it's put for the field to the break zone, choose a forward opponent controls, deal it 1000 damage for every 2 forwards in your break zone.
Yeah, it's not good.
This whole cycle of monsters is pretty meh. This is maybe the most interesting of the bunch, but whatever.
Yeah, I think it's a cool design. I like the art, but other than that,
Flavor.
yeah, the flavor's cool for sure.
Yeah, I can't wait to play 3 of these in my Tonberry sleeves.
Next up is Begamnon. It's a 5 CP 7k Headhunter. Job Headhunter forwards other than Begamnon you control gain 1000 power. And when Begamnon enters the field, you may search for one card named Gajuk, Bogwi, or Rinnock and play it onto the field.
So this
I
card
think he's
is
a cool
really
card.
good.
It's a cool
Yeah.
card.
Like he's great. Like the value on him is insane. It's just the problem is the value on the other cards that he synergizes.
Yeah, playing him directly onto the field is a big deal. He also boosts them all by 1k, but yeah, the other one's just like the big payoff, right? Is to have the fire and the earth one out, pay the extra to double the damage, and then 10k the board. But you have to have this 3 other 4. It's just so much setup to be able to do the payoff play. Whereas like you could just play Scions and be like Yida, go, like you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
This deck is for the people who would play StarCraft and be like, all right, 10 minutes, no rush.
Exactly.
Pretty much.
Yeah, he's a good card though, but yeah, it's the problem is the stuff around him is.
Just let me set up. Don't touch me. Don't no interactions at all. I'll let you know when I'm ready.
He's like Gaius, right? Where he's tethered to these pretty shitty cards.
Yeah.
He's shackled, literally.
Oh man, with just a big old fucking prison jailbird ball and chain.
Next up is Banga. It's a 2 CP Earth backup standard unit. When it comes to the play, you pay Earth. When you do so, choose an Earth character in your break zone, add to your hand.
Yeah, it's a pretty good. It's a pretty decent effect, but like the card art, that looks like the most sickly lizard I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, he's
And
sick.
he has like a house on top of his head.
It's like almost like a BoJack Horseman version of FFTCG.
Isn't that the
Love
monk?
it.
That's the monk outfit, right? From
Yeah, probably.
I think it is. But yeah, it doesn't look great. I think a Pooparoo and Miner kind of fill this card slot in my opinion, and they're a little bit more dynamic.
This card is so good in limited.
Oh, and limited is great. Yeah, limited is great. Next up is Baigan. I like this card a lot.
This card fucks so hard.
It's a 3 CP 7k. If it's dealt 3,000 damage or less, the damage becomes 0. When Baigan is dealt 4,000 damage or more, you may put Baigan into the break zone. When you do so, deal 7k damage to all forwards opponent controls.
This guy says, fuck you, Sid Reigns.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Valifor.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Selinka. Fuck you, I'll handle him. Fuck you, Yuri Ping. But he says, I respect you, Yuri Blank. I respect you, Halicarnassus.
Yuri Ping does hit him, but then he gets in the option to blank. But also lethal damage, he can't. His auto will trigger, but he can't do it. Like if that makes sense. So
yeah, he'll be dead by the time you have the opportunity to pay the cost by putting him in the break zone.
I like this card a lot in like Mono Earth. You can get this guy really big. It's gonna be hard to kill him. Also, like in that similar vein, if you play your own Yuri in a deck, you have a 7k to the board on demand for just dulling 3.
You can just ping with your own Yuri and tell him to get shit up. Well,
and
talk about a cleave, right?
Dead.
You do that. You deal 7k to everything, and then you Gladio special. Now that's a cleave, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I think it's
excessive.
It's a little overkill, but
yeah, it's definitely excessive. But
when
you
make sure every last thing in the room has to, when you got to kill everything in the room.
This does trigger off combat
it absolutely.
damage.
Yeah, absolutely triggers off combat damage or Hecaton share damage.
Yeah, so you could like Hecaton a 6k and then sack and deal 7k to the board. Things like that.
Dude, this guy, old snake hands here, he's gonna take care of business. This guy really he's a liability for a lot of these win strategies.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I definitely like this card. It's one of my favorite cards in the set, I think.
Yeah, card's real good.
Next up is Class 5th Moogle. You can do 1 colorless and dull. Choose an Earth forward you control against 1,000 power. Not
garbage.
Yeah, I don't think you're playing this card. Earth already gets big. You don't need this card.
What?
Class 10th Moogle. Dulls for Earth and Lightning CP. All these are good.
Mono Earth
Mono Earth
Estinian.
Estinian, baby. Let's do it.
Mono Earth Estinian.
Mono Earth Estinian.
Let's do it.
Oh man.
Meta solved.
Yeah. I think you might see like Sarah S. at least at the beginning a lot in this meta. I think she has potential to do something.
And then Moogle Brothers is going to be pretty good in this set too.
Also
I
true.
think.
Yeah, I agree.
Also true.
But how about Mono Earth Estinian?
It's happening.
Got
It's
it, got it.
coming.
But
It's
how-
coming.
But how about this next card?
How about a Yang?
Is that really the next card?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it sure
Get the
is.
fuck out of here. That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's a Yang. So 4 CP 8K. When he enters the field, you choose a forward. Gains plus 2,000 power and brave. And if it's a monk or card named monk, it also gains when this forward attacks, choose a forward. Opponent controls, deal damage equal to this forward's power.
I love it. We spoke it into existence. I like the implications with like Duncan. I think that's really, really neat. I don't know. Like I think there are enough monks that this card kind of becomes like a summon in that archetype, right?
Yeah.
I think it's good. I think it's a good card.
Yeah, I was really excited actually when I saw this card to play that archetype, and then I saw all the fire cards that I got in this set, and I was like, that
Yeah.
sucks. But I do think with
Mhm.
Duncan, he's nuts. I think Duncan is like easily the best target for this card.
Yep.
Yeah.
Being able to just like make your Duncan a 10k with Brave, attack, deal 10k, Duncan special, deal 10k, and now you're still swinging with a 10k.
You hit him with a blitz, man. You know.
That's
So.
right.
Yeah, I like
If
this
only-
card.
If only Tifa
Yeah,
was
cards,
a
it's a
monk.
fun card.
Yeah.
If only.
We definitely do need a little bit more monks for this to be even nuttier, but I think the more monks.
Hajmal.
Okay,
Mhm.
so now we're
That's what I'm
playing.
talking about.
so
That's
now-
what I'm talking about, man.
So we figured out our
Dude,
deck.
Rydia
right?
searches
It's-
for Hajmal.
It's monk, Headhunter, Bard, Ice, Earth, Tribal, right? That's the deck. we're
Exactly.
Whoa.
That's how you get your three
Whoa.
colors.
Got it.
Dude,
That's how you get your
Rydia-
three colors.
Rydia promo searches for Hajmal. It's coming together.
I don't know
I think
what
we broke the
pile we're
game.
playing, but I'm in.
Is Estinian?
We broke the game.
doing.
Dude, he's Estinian. Look, I'm telling you, Mono Earth Estinian, sign me up. Because you can search for him off of Mog Mobius. It doesn't matter. You're good.
Dude, it's happening. It's golden. There's like 20 ways to get him back.
All right,
and you
we're
can
sure-
Well, you
protect
can
him for
also
days.
play Gabranth and just search Estinian. So I mean,
Even better, Curtis. You're
So-
the god. You're a goddamn
and then you
genius.
tighten Estinian, and then you activate him.
So let me get. So we're
Yeah,
playing.
exactly.
We're playing like Sid Garland, right, to get Estinian back for the grave. We're playing the Ice, the Earth, Lightning Moogle. We're playing.
Yeah.
100%.
You're playing Star Sybil to cheat him into play.
Dude, it's,
Also-
oh god! And then you're gonna play a backup.
Yeah, exactly. It's great.
Oh man! It seems like the deck is building itself. And FF decks get updated any day now.
Mono Earth.
I mean, this is
Estinian.
what happens when you have innovation, man. Just the ideas
true.
just don't stop flowing.
All right. Next
True.
next up is Larkeisha. It's a 3 CP 5K. When it enters the field, choose one monster in your break zone, add it to your hand, and then for 2 Earth Dull, search your deck for a monster and add it to your hand.
It's my favorite art in the set by far.
It's a sweet
This
full
guy's a
art.
dope art.
Yeah, it's a sweet full art.
Yeah.
I
I
mean-
think the card's good.
Yeah, Earth Wind, right? Like if you're still running, if we're still running Cactuars and Layax and stuff like that, it's pretty
Mhm.
solid.
Yep. Yeah, not really much to say there. I mean, maybe in like a Earth, Water, Monsters deck, maybe you're playing him.
It's
I don't know.
searchable on color with Epitaph.
Yeah.
Too.
Guys,
Yeah.
I would like to congratulate Bartz on his PhD.
Oh yeah, Bart's is a doctor. Yeah.
Bartz is now a doctor.
He's done it all. He's done it all.
He's got his PhD.
Yeah, I think the
I see
ceiling.
it also
Is he a
uses
toll
card to
booth
search
worker? Yeah,
bombs.
that's the only job he doesn't have.
Yeah, I think the ceiling on this card is pretty high though.
Yeah, I agree. Card's good.
Next up is Rydia. So 5 CP 4K. Rydia enters the field. You look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal one summon other than light and dark among them, and cast it without paying the cost. Then shuffle the other cards to the bottom of your deck. And then for X and Dull, you look at the top X cards of your deck. You reveal one summon of cost X or less among them, and cast it without paying its cost. Then shuffle the cards to the bottom of your deck.
Woo!
Card's cute. I mean, we've seen cards like this before, right? That manipulate summons and do stuff. It's fine. I mean, it's cute.
The payoff on this, though, I don't know, like because you get to cast it, I think that's a big deal. Menu
I think
just
it's
like
pretty
grabs
good.
it, you know.
Just because of like Seymour.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Play
Oh,
Seymour, stack it on top, use this card, play it for free. And then also with Seymour it's lightning, so you got the move card that taps for lightning as well, and then Mono Earth is Stydian, so like you could play this card in
Are,
it
are we
too.
playing? Are we playing the 7 CP Fosoya in this list as well?
I don't know about that, but I guess you could. But I mean, like this card is at the minimum cute, and it could be
Yeah,
good.
there's a lot of upside to the card. I think there's more upside on this card than Minwu,
Yeah,
in my
but I
mind.
do think
Sure.
that this card requires the most setup out of,
Yeah.
you know, everything else to
Spoiler
make it
alert:
like super
everyone's gonna
good.
keep playing Riku, and you're gonna feel like shit when you set this card
Right. You're
down.
gonna
Yeah.
see more of the card on the
Yeah.
top of your deck, and I'm like, hold that thought,
Yeah.
mill that.
Yeah, but no, I think the ceiling on this card is really high too.
Yeah.
I do think it's better than Minwu, just because it gets to cast it.
Yeah.
I don't think the second effect's gonna be used that often, though.
The second part of the second effect's what kills me. At first, I thought it was just look at the top X cards, reveal it, and cast, and I was like, oh hell yeah. And then I saw that the summon has to be the same cost. I was like, oh, never mind.
Yep.
I might as well play light. It's like light Una,
Yep.
except maybe costs more to like
Yeah, you get
like
you get the dig.
mine for a summon.
Yeah, you get to dig further. So like if you really need a Raiden, you could pay 9, look at 9 cards, and hope to God one of them's a Raiden, or something like that. But
Tap
I
the
guess
top of your deck and yell gas.
That's about as deep as you would want to have to dig for a Hail Mary play, right? Like 9 cards.
yeah,
Like, all right, here we go. It's on the line.
this is
And
discounted
then
by
also this card
Nebraska.
could be good in the Unimill deck too, probably. So
That's true.
Sure.
It could be okay there. Yeah. Next up is Renok. It's 2 CP Headhunter, 5k for Earth. Choose a Headhunter. During this turn, the next damage it deals to a forward becomes double the damage instead. Can only use this ability once per turn.
Yeah, it could have been the payoff card, but the rest of the cards suck. But
I
again,
mean, look at that
we beat
ball
this horse
sack
to
on it,
death. It's a
though.
fun budget deck.
Jesus. Yeah, it's a budget deck. I think,
Yeah.
yeah. So I wish the payoff was better because Beganon is a really good card.
Yeah.
but
I
like
agree.
all these cards are super ugly. Like holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's true.
Next is
true.
He needs a shirt.
Lility. It's a 3 CP 7k standard unit. When it blocks, choose a forward in your break zone, add it to your hand.
Well, we've said we like this in a carbuncle list. I think that's where it really shines, just being able to get shit back constantly.
I mean, yeah, this is kind of like just a value card.
I mean, in a carbuncle list, you have to kill this, right?
Yeah.
Like,
100%. Yeah.
'Cause if you
This
don't-
is such a threat.
yeah, if you don't, I'm just gonna get back like all my weenie forwards that you maybe managed to kill, and then just replay them. And then they're all they all like it doesn't matter their size, they're gonna be 9Ks by the time I cast my carbuncles.
Yep.
So
Get back your Porums. Get back your Zidanes that have been killed. Noctises. And you've probably had to work harder to kill those things. And now I can just get them back.
yeah, and it's not color restricted either, which is nice.
Exactly.
So I think it's pretty solid. I think
Yeah.
it might be the best of like this block of like cards.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, like it is a little slow, but that deck is slow.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's protective, slow, control type deck. So I think that this card is just like the potential ceiling on this is gross.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Gets
like
out of
it
hand
feels
pretty
great. Like they finally kill your Delita, and you just play this, and it blocks. You just get it right back.
Yeah, and maybe there's a reason to play Gladiator in there now. Maybe I don't know though.
Yeah,
But
quick.
maybe.
You feel like you could keep like you said, like Porum or Veritas. You're just like, I'll get it back.
yeah, and it gives you another Brawn target,
Yep.
and like you said,
Mhm.
Gladiator. All great options.
Mm-hmm.
Next card is Regus. He's the category 15 searcher. I mean,
Yeah, you're playing this. You're playing
A
this.
plus.
Super
A+.
good.
yeah, I don't really
Yep.
know how much to be said about it. It's a cat searcher. They're all good. So
They
Yeah,
pretty much
it's a
all
cat
have
searcher with
abilities.
good things to search. It's a good card.
next up, oh sorry, now we're moving into lightning. So next up is a new Azul. So category. So he's a category 7. If he's a AK, if Azul's dealt damage by a forward, reduce the damage by 5,000 instead. This is a bad paladin, I think.
Dude, when I saw his name, I was like, oh yes. Oh my god, the Rufus, like, Yuffie decks. Another Lightning 7 forward. Oh my god, he's gonna be an endgame forward. What's he do? Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, why the hell did I play this card?
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah.
It's not
I
gonna
mean,
see
it's
play.
kind of cool that it's a civet, so however you say that. So, like, it's another target to search off that one old backup, but still not great.
Restrictor, right? I think.
Yeah.
The
Restrictor.
Yeah, name clashes with the other as well. Not that that really matters,
Exactly.
but.
Yeah.
Speaking of name clashes,
And next up is Adia. 4 CP EX Burst AK. When she enters the field, you choose an active forward opponent controls. Deal 1,000 for each lightning character you control.
Card isn't terrible. It just has the wrong name.
I mean,
It's like
card is-
Vayne. Card's not terrible. It just has a bad name.
yeah, like this card's actually pretty damn good. Just has the wrong name. Death Fodder? I don't know. It's it's
And this costs
Title.
4, right?
Cost 4.
yeah.
God, if it cost 3 and it was an ousted target, it would have been beautiful.
It'd be
It would
really,
have been a
really
great card.
gross.
It would have made you have to like seriously consider which Adia you play.
You just cut Onion Knight at that point, I think.
Well,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's what
It would be a
That's
more
what I'm saying.
synergistic.
And like it makes you have like if that card cost 3 CP, we'd be singing a different tune because now you're sitting there building your deck and you're like, holy shit, do I play the old Adia or do I play this one? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It creates like these situations that I want to start seeing having when they're building their decks.
Yeah, I'm not sure
But
if
right
like,
now there's just no reason.
I'm not sure if like when the dust settles this is gonna see play, but at least I think you could like make an argument for running like a 4th or 5th Adia or something for death,
Yeah.
and it doesn't
Yeah.
feel terrible to play.
I mean,
Yeah.
so it's got some fun things, right? Like technically, so if you're playing like Wind Lightning with this, and you have the backup idea, and you break it to play which one on the field, you can like combo this with any like Barb or Diabolus or something, because it would just do the 1K for itself, like at least.
It's
Just
true.
like in like those kind of the 8 like Cipher Wind Lightning decks. I mean, I'm not saying that that's like a competitive. I'm trying to give this card
Yeah,
some
I
credit.
got you.
Unless you're staring down Bigan on the other side of the board. Bigan more like by God, am I right?
Jesus Christ.
Dude, this would match up pretty good against Headhunters.
Ugh,
Final
Barf.
Fantasy 8.
Next up is
All ideas.
next up is an Odin. It's a 3 CP EX Burst. Choose a forward of 2 or less. Break it. Draw a card.
Oh man, this card is amazing.
Yeah, this card's not seen play. I don't think
Yeah, it's
Nope.
not. It's terrible.
so.
I was just too busy realizing that one Bygone beats the entire Headhunters just deck by itself.
Yeah, they all just die. Well, actually,
You literally
Hey.
just hecaton
Yeah.
share, and it's like, you're all dead.
Yeah.
You're all just dead.
all 4 of them. All 4 of them. Nobody gets a health buff.
That's right. They're all just dead.
So Odin
Card's
is
poop.
again. How many times have we said this sentence, guys? Wow, this art is great.
It's art
I
sweet.
wish I could see this card get played in decks.
Yeah. Next is Kane. It's an 8 CP AK. Before paying the cost to play Kane onto the field, you may put 1 active lightning backup you control to the break zone. If you do, cost is reduced by 5. And then when Kane enters the field, you choose a forward opponent controls. It loses 8,000 power until end of turn.
He's
card is
a
hot.
real good card.
Card is hot.
Yeah, this card's good. I mean,
Power reduction is the best damage.
yeah, you're paying 4 CP, I guess technically, because you're losing the backup for an AK
Yeah.
that deals AK essentially on entry. His job can be relevant in the decks that he goes in. I like this card a lot. This card's really
Yeah, I
really
think it's good.
Next up is Sidiclan Gully. For light, he's a backup, 2 CP lightning backup. For Lightning Dull, discard a tax advance 2 forward, put him into the break zone. Choose an active forward, break it.
This card could have been good too, but he's got a terrible name clash.
He even's trying to like look like the other card. Like stop
Yeah.
it. The other card is just better.
Yeah, the other
But
card
yeah, I mean,
searches
it's
a
The other
little.
card lets me get a Lua.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think outside of title. I mean, title is a pretty good card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next is Goblin. It's a 2 CP monster. During your turn, it's a 5k forward. And then when it deals damage to your opponent, you may put Goblin into the break zone. When you do so, draw 2 cards.
Shantytown Zidane. Get him out of here.
Yeah, homeless Zidane.
Yeah. It's interesting. You get card draw to lightning, but it's like a one-time thing. It's a little bit. It's harder to hit with this guy that is with Zidane because Zidane has like the unblockable claws.
Yeah.
Also, Zidane has to die. This does not really. You can block this guy. So
He's crab people now. Don't worry about him.
yeah, he's one of the more interesting of these cycle though. But,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not a huge fan. Next up is Golbez. Everybody's saying this card's nuts. I think this card's not nuts, but whatever. 5 CP, 9K. For Lightning Duel, real top card of your deck. If it's a forward, play it onto the field. You can only use this ability during your turn. And then for S2 Lightning, choose a forward, deal it 9K. You may discard a card named Golbez. If you do, use a special ability again without paying cost.
I mean, card's fine. I like being able to cheat stuff into play, sure. And given most decks, forwards are what you have primarily in your deck, so the odds of hitting a lot higher. But it's slow. Like, it's got to live. It's got to be able to tap.
I think I'll quote a very intelligent guy from today that I saw post this. Please, sir, dole your 5K to maybe have a chance to play a forward onto the field, or 5 CP 9K.
Yeah.
So I think that was John Schreiner that said that today.
It's like, hey, let me dull one of the best bodies on my side of the field to like flip a coin. No, I mean it's not 50-50 or anything like that. I'm saying, but like, it's this card is probably better attacking.
Yeah.
In a color that's pretty hard to give him Brave. You
now,
can
to be
declare
fair,
block with this guy if he's out for a full turn. Oh no, you can only use it during your turn. You're right.
Yeah, you
so
can't do that. Yeah.
well, and to
What
be
if you
fair,
give it Brave though?
well, yeah, give it Brave
With
with
what?
Radiant.
Mamodi.
Oh my god.
Okay,
Or
great.
Mamodi.
We're talking about
Yeah,
Mono
so-
Earth Estinian, right? Why not throw Golbez in the
That
mix?
seems slow.
Play Wall, give it Brave.
Hey, Double Meteor is really neat. All right, Double Meteor, you can just keep Double Meteoring. You can Double Meteor again and again and again and again. And so that is the thing that makes me think, like, okay, so this Golbez, like, what's that first ability best in? Strongest Sword Gilgamesh, right? Oops, all forwards. So it's like, hey, maybe you just throw 3 more Golbez into the Golbez deck, and if you're not doing the one guy, you're just going for the double meteor super strategy. I don't know, but this card is for gambling addicts.
Yep.
No when to hold them.
Call 1-800 Lunar.
No when to fold them.
I don't know, man. All the meme decks seem to be Golbez based.
Oh.
Next up is Cypher. It's a 2 CP 5K. If you have a witch, it's a 8K.
If you're playing
actually don't
Cypher
mind
like
this
that,
card.
you're just using the one that searches for.
Yeah, I like the other one better though.
Dude, if you get Maya in draft,
Oh, in
you
draft he's fine.
are gonna just go. You're
Yeah,
popping off, dude.
Yeah.
You got Cypher, you got Adia, you got Bea, and you're just.
Yeah.
It's going good.
You're just what?
Exactly, dude. You know, you're just getting it.
I love it.
Next is Seek. It's a 7 CP standard unit backup. When it enters the field, choose a forward. Opponent controls, break it.
Yeah.
You guys smell something?
I smell shit.
Oh man, yeah, it's just too expensive. Like,
Get this.
I'd
get
rather
outta
just
here.
play
next.
Odin.
Fucking next.
Next is Sage. 2 CP standard unit backup. When it enters the field, you may pay lightning. When you do so, choose a summon in your break zone, add it to your hand.
This guy's
Hey,
great.
It's not terrible to recycle your Ramus and stuff. Terrible.
Yeah, this is actually this is a pretty great kicker backup.
Do we like this
Yeah, I
more
think
than
this-
the Black Mage, though?
I think so because Black Mage is
Yeah.
more expensive to do it. I think. I
Mhm.
think you have to tap 2 and then
Yeah, it's 2.
dull it
Yeah.
and get rid of it.
Yep.
So I think this is a much more cheaper option for that kind of play, and I think it's much better than the Black Mage. I would say it's probably, other than Water, probably one better.
Also,
Yep.
like
Tap one extras.
I'm playing this in an element that like offers me opportunities to remove backups.
Sure. Yeah, and with
So
Kane
like,
too.
like I can play this, get a summon back, and Fordola can just remove this guy.
Yeah.
Kane can remove this guy, and I've gotten the summon back already.
That's
So
true.
you're getting kind of like double value out of the card.
Yep.
It's faster than the Black Mages are for sure.
That's true. Next up is Nero. It's a 3 CP 7K category 14. When he enters the field, if you control a forward of any element other than lightning, until end of turn, he gains 2,000 power, haste, and brave. And then when Nero is added to your hand from the break zone, choose a forward, deal it 2,000 damage. When I first read it, I thought he permanently had 2,000 power in the keywords, and I was like, this card's great. And then I realized it's just for one turn.
Yeah, card's bad.
Yeah, it's not that great.
It's better than the other one that we haven't gotten to yet. But
Yeah.
next up is Bakdame. It's a 3 CP 7K stater unit. When a lightning forward other than Bakdame enters your field, choose a forward opponent controls and duel it.
I think this card's good for mono lightning. It's another Gromus target, and this thing in conjunction with like Alba and Diana, they can have 5 forwards on the board. They're just out. Game's over.
Yeah, I guess my counter argument would be like most of the time we don't need more than Alba Diana to just win a game.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it is nice to have another Gromus target for sure.
And that's what puts him in the argument, right? I think his ability's fine. It's an aggressive ability, but the fact that you can just search him,
Yeah,
I think
and then
is
he's
really
also on curve as well,
Mhm.
so I mean that's pretty
yeah,
good.
which
too.
is also
Yeah, you can play this boy off of Elsid if you're playing the Gromus and already have Elsid in your hand.
yeah,
Just put down like a freaking 7K.
seems good.
Yeah, he's solid. Next up is Bahamut Zero. So 6 CP lightning summon. Choose an active forward opponent controls. Break it. Dull all forwards opponent controls. It's not that bad, but I don't like it either. I just don't like because I'm paying 6 for something that can easily be fizzled by stuff that people are already playing around Alcid to do. Like
Yeah,
people are already
Mhm.
holding cards to play around Alcid, and everything that they're holding to play around that card plays around this card, and it feels worse if they make this fizzle because of the active keyword. That's kind of where I'm at on it. But if it goes off, you probably win.
Yeah.
So there's
True.
that.
Yeah, it is cool because it is definitely like the I'm trying to end the game on this turn summon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Next up is Fasolia. It's a 7 CP 6K. Cost required to cast elements or summons can be paid with any element. When Fasolia enters the field, you choose a forward opponent controls. Reveal the top 2 cards of your deck. Deal 1,000 damage for each CP required to play the revealed cards. All revealed cards are added to your hand.
Look
it's
at
a
this
fun
majestic
card.
I mean,
the
like, I think
card's
it's
good.
pretty cool because I mean, you get 2 cards anyway, so it's technically like 3 CP for a pretty wacky effect. You just have to hope that whatever you reveal kills whatever you targeted, but know how
Yeah,
consistent that's gonna be.
yeah. I mean, average cost in most decks are what 3, right? So more
Yeah,
than likely you're gonna hit for 6K in most average decks.
yeah. Then like if you hit like a 2 CP backup, because every deck's probably gonna be playing some of those,
Yep.
that's gonna feel bad.
Yeah, it's like Tella, right? I feel like Tella had a
Mhm.
similar problem.
Yep.
I think on average,
You know who
Stella probably
loves?
does more damage.
Yeah,
But you know who loves watching Fasolia hit the table? My man Bygone.
it's true.
Yeah, but I mean, it's definitely fun.
Yeah, he's a fun card, and I think he's a pretty cool like build aroundy card that might see some play.
Mm-hmm.
Next up is
Can he make Vaughn better?
no. Next up is
Fine.
Mia. She's a 3 CP 7K
He's not that cool then.
Chop Witch. At the beginning of your attack phase, select one of 3. If you're at 5 points of damage or more, you select 2 of 3. So choose one forward until end of turn. It gains 1,000 power first strike. Choose a forward dull. Choose one category Mobius forward other than Mia. It gains haste.
Yeah, I like how her knockers take up 40% of the card, but
Dude, they're like these weird looking. They're like so strangely flat. It's like M&M. Like it's literally it's an M&M.
it's like in the center of the card too, so it's like literally the focus
And she's
of
like,
what
hold
you
on, let
look
me
at.
block my face so you can really
Yeah,
get a good like.
it's like the
It's
golden
basically
ratio
her
right
face.
there.
Yeah,
The
it's
golden
basically her.
ratio. That card's okay. I mean, it doesn't have the same like wow factor that Wool had right when he came out.
Yeah, I mean, even
But-
Wall's wow factor has come down a bit, right? You don't see him as much
Yeah.
anymore. I think she's okay, though. I think she has some synergy with the deck she's probably going to be going in. And maybe, like, Water Lightning with, like, Witches and some Mobius cards are okay. Like,
Well,
Hasting COG
even like
sounds okay to me.
even like again we're kind of digging here, but even like Earth Lightning again, not a Stinian, but I think we're doing that now. But like if you have her on the board, then you play Wall, you've got like 2 beginning of like attack step.
Yeah.
So you can just. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's all that great, but being able to like play wall and then swing with him if you've got her
Yeah, it could be okay.
again, it's fine.
Next up is Class 3rd Moogle. It's a 2 CP backup for 1 and dull. Choose a lightning forward. It gains 1,000 power.
Boo.
Yeah, it's not. I don't like any of these cards.
No, they're bad.
Then the next one is Class 6 Moogle. It's a 2 CP lightning backup that also produces water CP.
Now we're talking. That's a
Pretty
card.
good.
Yeah, this card's really good. It might be the best
Top
combination.
8 Johnny
it's either
loves
this
this
or
thing.
yeah, it's either this or the Icewind one, I think. But
Yep.
Next is Reeve. I don't know why this card's in the set, but all right. It's a 3 CP EX burst. Searches for Vincent or Cade Sith.
Ooh, not a Turk.
Oof.
Slap in the face.
Hmm.
Gotta love it.
Yeah.
Once again, he has Dirge of Cerberus synergies for some reason.
Maybe if like the title deck becomes Vincent again, this is decent in title, but I
Sure.
don't see that happening. Title like the 7 title deck is so established now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think we're playing like some Earth Lightning deck where we need to search Vincent, and even if we do, we could probably
But
be better
hey.
just play Jesse.
You just play this in the promo, Vincent. That's so good. You get to break this one, deal something 8K, then you play it again, search out another Vincent. Oh, man.
Now, there's only one Earth Lightning deck, and that's Mono Earth Astin.
I think Science is Earth Lightning, right? I feel like that's the thing.
It's not as good. It's not as
Maybe.
good.
Okay. Oh, someone said S Swatter for the other Reeve. That's so bad.
I'm gonna get so many K-Sith cards.
Oh man. So next is Olivia. It's a 3 CP 9K, so she's really overcurved, but she has an extremely bad drawback. So when she enters the field, the cost to play Olivia didn't include CP of 3 or more different elements. You put her into the break zone, and then for 1, she gains Brave, and then for 3, you can break the 4 that's blocking her.
For 4 colors, could I give Vaughn some text?
Garbage.
Yeah, like their payoff isn't worth the 3 elements. I don't think. Like now I have to dump more CP into her. I don't know. I'm not feeling it at all.
Nope. No reason to play any of it.
So next is Ravis, is a 4 CP AK EX burst, category 15. When he enters the field, you choose a forward opponent controls, dull it. That's his burst. And then when he enters the field, if you have less forwards than your opponent, he gets to dull a second forward.
I think it's pretty good.
Hear me out on this one. If you're playing Mono Earth and you're playing the Moogle that gives you lightning and you're playing the 15 version, you could play this guy. You can get him off of Baby Noctis. You can search him with Regis. It's not terrible.
I think he's good.
Yeah, like if you can slot him into that Earth 15 deck and not feel terrible.
Do you play Shantoto in your list right now?
Yeah.
So you could cast him off that too.
Yeah.
It's not
like
bad.
I don't think that's bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. I don't know if we need to go all in that hard or not.
Well, because he gets a 1K in Brave from Ignis.
Yeah.
You can search him off Regis.
No,
he triggers core.
If you get to play him in that list, he's great. Do we need him is what I'm saying. I guess that's where it gives you something the deck doesn't have access to, which is like dulling. But like your board's always gonna be bigger than their board. You're only dulling one thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a
But, I mean,
burst.
if you are playing Mono Earth Estinian, you might need that extra lightning target, though.
There you go.
Yeah, like the more we talk about this bullshit, I don't think it's bullshit. Like I think it might actually be legit.
Oh, I was being
Guys,
serious
I'm
the whole
playing Mono
time.
Earth Estinians.
Oh yeah,
I was being serious the whole time. Mono Earth Estinian.
I dig it.
Yeah, I mean that
Guys,
could work.
I already built it.
In his own element, I think he's gonna be battling with Alba, and Alba's probably better. But
Alba's exponentially.
But in that deck, I mean, maybe it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we're out of the lightning cards.
Mono Earth Estinian.
Yeah, James said he's gonna drink every time we say Mono Earth Estinian.
That's why I said-
Mono Earth
Oh,
Estinians
man,
is
he's gonna be
a real
hammered.
thing.
Oh god, we're gonna speak that into existence too. Good.
Nah, it's gonna be the next T-shirt, baby. There it is.
All right, so first water card is gonna be Adele. So 5 CP 9K. Job Witch. If you don't control a forward other than Adele, He gains 1,000 power, and when Adele attacks, you may discard a card. When you do so, choose a forward opponent controls or turn it to its owner's hand.
It's neat. It's a witch.
Who's gonna play this card, man?
Nobody.
Who's
Fucking nobody.
Can somebody? Is anyone out there? Like, honestly, even if you're a Final Fantasy VIII fan, it doesn't do shit with the Final Fantasy VIII cards. Like, if you don't control a forward, other than Adele, she does some boring shit. Like, is anybody gonna play this card?
I mean,
I'd rather
Damn.
play the 8 forwards that do interesting stuff when they come out.
It's a lightning water witch tribal card.
Yeah,
right?
you gotta play. Yeah, exactly. You gotta play Lightning Water Witch, and you recycle her with the that one Adea backup, and you just play witches for free, man.
I get it. She's a rare, right? But we finally put in Adele. Like, I was hoping this is gonna be legit.
So-
I got kind of really excited when I saw this water card hadn't been spoiled, and then
I did too when
my
I first saw the
excitement.
picture.
Yeah, this
Just-
card is legit, John.
It's not bad and
It's a
limited,
5.
right?
It's a 5 CP, 10k if you have no forwards
It's
other
not.
than Adele.
It's not bad and limited though, right? I feel like it's okay. Like if it's flying.
I think it's
solo,
okay and
yeah.
limited.
But yeah, in constructed, I don't think it's doing enough.
Like, most of the time, I really don't want to put their guy back in their hand,
That's true. But at least in
especially
limited,
when
making
I'm in a
them
position
repay.
where I have no forwards.
Yeah, at least
That's
in limited,
really
you're making them repay is a big deal. But yeah, in constructed, like no. Like, next up is another witch. It's Ultimate. You want to talk about rolling the dice? Here you go, John. The 4 CP backup job witch, obviously. When it enters the field, each player reveals the top card of his or her deck. Each player who revealed a character may play it onto the field. And then for 2 water, 2 colorless, dull, put it into the break zone. Choose a forward, put it on top of its owner's deck.
So here's
Too
what
rich for my blood. Hard
Here's what
pass.
I cheat this card in, right? While you are using Rydia.
Exactly. I was about to say that. Hey.
Get slapped, dude. You're like, I'm gonna use Seymour to put a summon on top of my deck. I'm like, well, in response, I think I'm gonna break Sadia back up and put a witch into play. Ba-boom.
Punish them. Punish them.
And
Oh,
then you flip your
hey,
own
do you happen
summon.
to have a character? Oh, that's too
And
bad.
then you flip your summon.
Yeah, and then you flip your own summon, and then it's good game. But yeah, dude, hey, this card, it specifically counters that other thing. But yeah, gambling addicts, 1-800-GAMBLER, guys. If you know somebody with a problem, if you know that player who just can't put these cards down,
Yeah.
Not great.
Next card is Letalus. It's a 4 CP 15 backup. For dull, put it in the break zone. Choose a summon that costs 4 or less in your break zone and cast it without paying the cost. Or remove that summon from the game after it's used instead of putting it into the break zone.
this
I
card
like
is
this card
insane.
a lot.
Yeah, this
I
card's
like this
really
card
good.
a
Really good.
lot.
Oh, this card is my favorite thing.
Yeah. I like the interaction with Carbuncle, but it also does a ton of other stuff too.
Yeah,
Dude,
like the
Ice
inevitability that this
with
gives.
like
Yeah,
Lich in this card is so good. 5 CP board clear is just good.
Yeah.
Dude, even
Pretty
just
good.
like, I love the inevitability that this card gives any deck. Like the Shiva that dulls and freezes 3 cards on a backup is insane. Breaking this in Water Fire to just play a Phoenix on demand is pretty crazy. Like, this card is nut. Anytime you can use your backup as an extension, or your break zone, sorry, as an extension of your hand, is just like so strong. And this guy, like, basically paying for a same cost summon later, it just is so good.
Card's good. Card's really good.
Yeah, I like this card a lot. Next up is Ultros. It's a 5 CP 9k. When it attacks, you deal 2,000 damage and 1,000 more for each card named Ultros in your break zone to all forwards opponent controls. And then when Ultros is put from the field to the break zone, you may pay 2 water. When you do so, search for 1 card named Ultros and play it onto the field duel.
I got mixed feelings on this card. One, I'm so happy that I finally got an Ultra. But I don't think it's that great. I think it's fine. I think the first ability doesn't really matter so much. I like the idea of when you kill it, which you are going to have to, because I think in like, yeah, it's slow, right? Because you have to attack with them. But I think like in a deck, maybe you're playing like a Water Fusoya deck where that damage could be relevant to kill something. When you kill it, you can just pay 2 and get another one.
Yeah.
Right? Like I think that's the ability that makes it good. He does have this kind of like stickiness, this flavorful stickiness, but I don't know where this is a card that like you ask that age old question, what are you cutting to play
Yeah, that's
this?
kind of where I'm at too.
And I think that's its biggest problem. But
So
I like everything else about it.
yeah, so my two things are the stickiness is really really good in water, right? Obviously, where the like keeping a board is you would almost pay like extra stuff to keep your board for
Mm-hmm.
like the CAG turns and things like that. Also, I think that his attack is because it's all the forwards. His attack thing is actually pretty good for like making nickels and CAGs stronger by themselves. They actually are like pretty potent plays without the full combo or without scholaring or bismarcking.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that like it's actually weird because it does not feel like a water ability at all.
Mm-hmm.
The first part, but I think it does. Like you're already going to be playing like 3 cogs and 3 nickels. I think it actually helps all those cards be a little more consistent as far as like how often they're good to play.
Yeah, I think my biggest thing is that we have to run 3 of it, because if we run 2 and 1 hits on damage, that's gonna feel really bad. So you have to find room for 3 of this guy in a deck that's running like Cloud Darknesses and Linus and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I don't think he's bad. And I think the more Ultras that get printed, if they have good text on them, the better he's gonna get, for
I
sure.
was really hoping we would get one like common or rare little like chibi ultras who did some dumb stuff,
Yeah.
Like
but
I wouldn't mind
alas,
seeing one that maybe like did a power reduction or something, whatever.
that's okay, dude. I
But
can't wait for the Chupon card that inevitably comes out that has synergy with this guy.
Oh, Typhoon.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure, whatever. You new age folk.
It's Aerith, John, not Eris.
Dude, Mr. Chupon.
Next is Gal. We can skip this one if you guys want. Cause
Yep,
this
that
card
just
is...
keep on going. This card doesn't
this
exist.
card
Card
is
shit.
He's a wild child.
bad.
Yes, indeed.
So we'll just skip over that. Just don't play that card.
Card shit.
Next is Geese. So 4 CP AK. This art is great too.
Yeah, it is.
When Geese enters the field, all forwards opponent controls lose 1,000 power until end of turn. And when Geese is dealt damage, you may remove Geese from the game. If you do so, return Geese onto the field, duel, and remove the top 3 cards of your deck from the game.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, the ruling for this works just like Baggin, by the way, for anybody wondering.
Yeah.
Lethal
I
damage.
mean,
still
more
kill.
like by God, am I right?
Okay. Yeah, lethal damage, you can't bring him back, basically. So
I think he's cool. Again, it kind of goes back to like Ultros, right? Like, you've got a forward that can be sticky and resilient, and the fact that you only have to mill over 3. This is also another slap in the face to Fire, by the way. And yeah, the 1K reduction when he enters the field, and I really wish it was when he enters and attacks. I think that would have been really cool.
I think they would have been worried about like making Beatrix not as good if they
Right, exactly. But like when it comes into play again, you're looking at maybe another like Fusoya type card. I think it's fine. I don't know where you're cutting. Like maybe if you have water cards and you're playing on a budget, maybe you don't have Cloud of Darknesses or something. Maybe you look at putting something like this in, just kind of filling it. But it's another card that I'm probably, if I'm putting a card in a deck, I'm probably going to put Ultros in before I put Geese in. But I don't think Geese is a bad card.
Yeah, he's good.
Dude,
This card's good in limited too.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I think
play
this card's
Geese.
super good in draft.
I'm gonna attack. They're gonna block, and then I'm gonna remove him and replay him on the field. And my Theodore is gonna trigger, and I'm gonna give somebody some effect. No, but in
You had me
reality,
until you said Theodore.
this card has really cool synergy with things like Barb and Diabolos and Moomba.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, you gotta
real
cast
quick,
that
Like
Diabolos
I
from
can
mention
skull
hand.
the
Theodore.
body and kill those guys. Yeah.
Since you mentioned Theodore, do you think if you're looking at more like category 4 synergies, does Theodore finally see its day?
It's
Um,
it's to
so
win
his
more. I
three
think.
things are Brave, First Strike, and 1K. So I think that he would need, like, I don't know, if one of them was like Activate a guy, I think that'd be really cool.
That'd be sick.
2,000 power or something. I don't know. Um, the 4-drop spot's a little. I mean, everything in water is a little tight.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're playing like a whole different version where you're just like cutting everything people are playing right now. If you're playing all these cards we're talking about, right? You're basically playing like mono Opus 9 water. And maybe that could be just like a fun, like a big doofy guy water deck. But
Oh,
I
big
don't
doofy
know.
water, sign me up.
I still don't know if Theodore gets there. I trust me, I want him to.
Next is Go-Go. It's a 3 CP 7K.
Another card.
Cat 6.
That-
For 0, choose a forward opponent controls. It gains his or her abilities until end of turn. And you can only use this ability once per turn.
God, I wish
I like
this card
this
got
card.
there too.
My issue is I don't like to rely on my opponent's cards for stuff like this. And I mean, yeah, like I could copy a Yuri, but like also when I try to copy, there's a window too, which kind of feels bad a little bit.
And your best things are copying what Yuri and Stola basically,
Yeah, I think those are the two
because
best.
you can't copy backups and you have to pay for whatever.
Yeah, I mean, card's fine, but yeah, I agree. It's cute.
Flavor win.
Yeah, the flavor
Oh,
is
big
great.
time.
Yeah.
Ghost is still my top flavor card though.
Best Go-Go too, for what that's worth.
Mm-hmm.
Next is White Mage. This is a card I think we've talked about a couple times at this point.
I like this card.
It's a TCP standard unit. When it enters the field, you can pay 1 water. When you do so, draw a card.
Yeah, card's good.
Yeah, I dig it.
Yeah, it just lines up really nicely. If you play like a 2 CP on turn 1 and then you have this to play on turn 2 instead of a 3 CP, it lets you kind of curve out and draw a card. So it's really good.
Yeah.
Next is Cecil. It's a 4 CP AK. If you control 2 or more Category 4 forwards other than Cecil, he gains 2,000 power and Brave. For 0, choose a forward you control other than Cecil. During this turn, the next time this forward would take damage, reduce it by 4,000 damage instead, and deal Cecil 4,000 damage. You can only use this ability once per turn.
I love
Card's
this
good.
card.
Mm-hmm.
He's
card is
another one
great.
though that I mean, he doesn't. Thankfully, he doesn't really go in the same decks that the 5 CP Earth Cecil does. So the name clash is kind of avoided there. I think there's some really neat interactions with him. He can save a lot of, forwards that you don't want to have die. Like it's a really good card.
Let's Baigun block 8Ks, right? Baigun also
Oh,
counts for his.
More like by God, am I right?
Jesus. Baigun also counts for his
Yeah.
first ability too.
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
very interested in this card. I will be playing with this card.
Yeah.
Its ability,
And like
any
John, I
ability
think
that
you're the
costs
one who
0,
mentioned the Cecil Raubon forward interaction. I think that's
Yeah.
really sick.
dude, it costs 0, man, and you split the damage, and then obvious, of course, right? Like Minwoo, Minwoo or Aerith even, like, but it just even not doing that, splitting the damage is still so gross for like the Rabon Phoenix.
Yeah,
Any
it
kind
can
of
make
attacker
blocking
blocker.
math really awkward too.
Yeah,
So I like the card for sure. And
Yep,
Title
I'm
obviously
into
is
it.
a monster.
yeah, I'm huge into this card.
Next is King of Concordia. It's a 2 CP backup. For a water duel, put it in the break zone. Choose a forward you control against 2,000 power until end of turn, and then at the end of the turn, return it to its owner's hand. I think this card's interesting.
Card's neat.
Yeah, I think it's interesting.
Yeah, it's super cool.
I'm trying to think of like forwards like Nickel maybe. Pretty good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Nickel, Cag, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Viking.
Yeah, you have to wait a
He's
full
getting
turn.
in there and then coming back.
You gotta wait a full turn to play it again though, because it's at the
Yeah.
end of the turn. But it's interesting. I don't know if it's gonna slot in though. I think that's the problem.
Mm-hmm. It's fine.
Next is Bannon. It's a 3 CP 4K category 6. When Bannon is chosen by your opponent's summons or abilities, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a backup, cancel all effects choosing Bannon. And then for Dole, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a forward, add it to your hand.
This guy's gonna be real annoying, huh?
I wish it was a little more flavorful for Bannon. I think it's neat. I think it's a neat ability. It's either save your guy or draw a card.
or hit a summon and feel bad.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I think it's
Well, no,
kind
because if you hit a summon, yeah, it's a hard miss. Yeah.
yeah, summons just nothing. It stays on top, and your bannon's dead.
Yeah.
It card is interesting. The effects, even though they're not super flavorful, the card is interesting.
You know what I really wanted Adam or Bannon to be like, Adam? Do you remember Ahmed Samsara?
Yeah, like where when he died, you lose the game, but he had a nutty effect.
Right, but he had a fucking busted ability.
Yeah.
Like, I wish he was something like that. That would be super flavorful. High risk, high reward, right?
Dude, I wanted him to be a card where when he had like a good effect, but when he died, you took a damage. I wanted him to have like a really cool field ability.
Mm-hmm.
And then like you took 1 or 2 damage, like something that was like, oh, this is punishing in a way that's not punishing for when other forwards die.
He's definitely great in 6 title for sure.
Yeah,
I mean he's like, I think this card could be really interesting.
Yeah.
But it's tough. Yeah, it's like you got to play him in.
Oh, there's a guy in the chat that played Versus. He knows what we're talking about. That makes me feel good.
Nice, love that.
Nice.
Yeah. The Black King was Ahmad Samsara.
Yeah. Like if he was like that, I mean, granted in this game it's a lot easier to lose the game than it was with him because he had a lot of just built-in evasion. But like, if there was something like that, or like John said, make it where like if he died, you took a damage, or even took 2 damage.
Yeah.
Don't care. Like, give me a reason to want to play him and protect him. Like, just make it flavorful. And in the game when he died, it was game over. Like that I want it to be something.
Dude, also hold up. Where was this Bannon, dude? Where is this sword from?
He ain't got.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, that's what
Where
I'm
the hell is
saying.
this sword, dude? We're running for our lives. He's got like a rod that does like nothing, and you just gotta put him in the back row and pray to God. Like, where was the sword, dude? This thing looks tight.
Yeah. And put him in the back row and pray to God. You're right.
Next is Paladin, so 4 CP standard unit backup. When it enters the field, you select all the 2. Choose a standard unit in your break zone, add it to your hand. Until end of turn, all forwards you control gain 1,000 power and brave.
Yeah.
We're
not playing Cyan. We're not playing this.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be hard to slot this in anywhere, even though the first effect could hit like backups or whatever. But yeah, I'm not seeing it slot in anywhere.
Water doesn't really have a good way to cycle these backups, so it's tough.
It doesn't.
You can't do that. Not yet.
Next is Fanfrit. It's a 6 CP summon, double Fanfrit that hits monsters.
This is a large
deep
pie.
dish personal pan Fanfrit.
This guy feeds a family of 2.
This guy is the big dinner box from Pizza Hut.
The $10 dinner box.
It's
That's
not
right,
personal
the big
pan
dinner
anymore.
box.
Yeah, there's enough to pass around.
Yeah,
there's enough to share.
It's interesting in the situations where people try to play like 1 forward to get around, losing their like quality forward. But it does cost.
And it costs 5 with Yuna out.
It does cost 5 with Yuna. But the 3 CP Fanfrit is so good. I don't know if you're making room for this as well. So
I just like more of the pizza jokes we make with it than the actual.
I wouldn't be surprised if you see this. It's definitely
sure
threatening, but
like I think it's fine as maybe like a one of. I mean, it's depending on the way deck you're playing, it's searchable.
Yeah.
We're just gonna play 3 Fanfrit, 3 of this Fanfrit, 3 Valfor Legend, like Riku's. They're not gonna be able to have any forwards, and we're just milk.
Next is Kukullan. It's a 1 CP EX burst. Choose a forward. It loses all its abilities until in a turn. Draw a card.
Hey, that's a great way to deal with Bigan.
Is there something in my teeth? That's what he looks like to me.
It's that meme that when you with the guy smiling saying, when you spend all that money on your children's school photos.
Oh man, I think it's
I mean, this card is great.
Yeah.
This is a really, really cool card, and another cantrip.
And it deals with it deals with Y'shtola, it deals with Bigan, it deals with all these forwards that have these pretty nutty abilities that you just want to get rid of.
If it also creates this mind game with Y'shtola, right? Like if I pay 1 for this and cast it on Y'shtola, do you break your Y'shtola?
Oh,
like
there's the rub.
Yeah,
dude, you cast this on Lise and play Ida.
there you go. So now we're playing
Solved.
Earth,
Solved.
Fire, Water, Science.
Earth, fire, water, lightning, science, dude.
That's how you do it.
Sick.
It's called Skittles.
I'm glad everyone watches
taste the
our
rainbow
channel
indeed.
to really learn how to be the best Final Fantasy TCG player you can be.
Yeah.
And
Dude, we are
Pokemon
breaking
theme song.
down
This
all of the
is
lines,
innovation.
Oh god.
Innovation.
Oh god.
No, but obviously this card is really potent for 1 CP.
Yeah.
It turns off a lot of cards. And draws you a card. Draw a card. EX, give me a card.
Yeah. Turning off lease, your opponent's lease actually is pretty good.
Well, turning off lease, turning off like your opponent's clud if it like late game and they want to try to keep bouncing it to, put 9k on something, just being able to shut them off for the turn. It's like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Knight, Cagnazzo, any Scion.
Yeah.
Yep. Card's good.
All right. Next is another pretty good card. It's Porum. It's a 2 CP EX burst, 2k. When it's put for the field to the break zone, choose a summon in your break zone, add to your hand.
Slaps roof of the card. Now this is a card.
This is a card.
Yeah,
Boys,
I think this might be the best card. in the set.
welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome to your new god. It's Porum.
The crap you can do with this thing. I love the idea of being able to. You can just get it back with Lena. You fan for it. It dies. You're fan for it. In Water Fire, you have like an infinite blocker with. It's pretty dumb.
Yeah, those are the two best summons for it. And then, I mean, obviously it's not color restricted, so you can do some cool stuff. Like if we're playing like if Garnet makes a comeback in Mono Water, which I think it might, she can grab anything.
Stop telling him, dude.
I'm just,
I know. I know.
I think the fact that she could grab like any of those things that Garnet already toolboxes, like the Shomhazo we talked about earlier, and things like that. She's really good.
And I think it's also great just in like Palom and Porum decks just in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If that, yeah, but you should get in Phoenix there too most of the time.
This
Yeah,
card
exactly.
is so good that I guarantee you Leonora is going to see play. Because you want to get this card early.
Got my foil already.
You want to put this card in the break zone, play Lena, put this card back on the field, get a summon back. This thing is just... This card is going to see some action. And, yeah, foils are like 50-something cents. Leonora.
So go and get you some.
Yeah, this card's just insane. The fact that it's an EX, I don't know why, and it's just not color locked on the summon is huge.
Yeah, how is this a burst that Irvin is not? How is that a thing? How is that a thing?
It's the color, man. It's the color.
Irvin would be
Name
too
a
broken
single-
if it was X-Burst, Adam.
Good lord.
Dude, there's not a single fire card with this much value besides like Belias, maybe. Still though, it's not a body, so no, I don't know.
Next is Moogle 12. It's a 3 CP 7k standard unit. When it attacks or blocks, you look at the top 3 cards of your deck and return them to the top or bottom in any order.
I think this card's pretty good.
Yeah. I think in limited this
Attacks
card
or
is...
blocks.
Attacks or blocks.
Pretty good.
Yeah. This card is nuts in
Pretty
limited.
good.
In limited, this card is insane.
Yeah,
I'm all
A+.
about a Scry 3 pretty much every time I go into the combat phase.
Yep, I mean,
Card's good.
he's like extra fuzzy.
Next is Mog 6. When Mog 6 enters the field, you draw 2 cards. When it leaves the field, you discard 2. And then for S, double water, dull. Choose a forward, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's even costed, return the forward to its owner's hand. If it's odd costed, you dull and freeze and deal it 4,000 damage. And then you add the revealed card to your hand.
You
don't
Kukulane
like
this card.
Yeah, draw your 2, then
draw another
it,
one.
Then you fam for. It's a lot.
Really, just on you block, declare your block, and then Kukulane him.
Yeah, I don't think
There you
this
go.
card's going to see much play unless
I agree.
like somehow all the other cards draw in water just somehow disappears. I don't know. It's just not worth the risk. It feels like a break zone trigger. It'd be kind of more interesting because then you could play it in decks where you're playing like H-Una and get around your own trigger. But
Yeah,
the fact that it's like
it's
leaves
really
the field-
weird that he like dulls and freezes something.
Yeah, it's
with
kind of
his one
random,
ability.
but whatever.
I'm not sure which Dusk Requiem dance dulls and freezes a guy, but I mean, hey,
Next is Barbara. It's a 3 CP monster that's a 6k forward on your turn. When it's blocked, All forwards opponent control lose 2,000 power until end of turn.
This guy's got allergies. He's about to sneeze. Look at all these dandelions all around him.
In my opinion, just play the other Marlboro.
100%.
The on demand is a lot better than only on your turn, and the fact that the other Marlboro triggers, whether it blocks or is blocked, is a big deal. So
Yeah. I think that like blocking with the other Marlboro is potentially better even than attacking with them. Like it's these monsters lose that really nice inherent evasion that they have of like you
yeah,
being able to choose when to block with them and stuff.
yeah, I feel like their effects are just kind of weak for what they bring
Yep.
in general.
Agreed.
That's kind of where I'm at. Next is Larsa.
Agreed.
Larsa's a 2 CPU backup for dull, negate all damage to all forwards you control. And by the way, negate's a really misleading keyword because negate is basically a heal in this game.
Yeah.
Hmm.
We're still going. It's 100 something
We're
cards.
almost done. It's 124 cards and 4 people. We're almost there. We're on 119.
It's okay.
We did it.
Larsa, I think that
Larsa's fine. It's very much a. Oh no, go ahead, John. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's hard to find a spot for this card.
Yeah.
It's cool because in the middle of combos, I guess, like Fina stuff you can heal, but generically, I imagine if you're looking to really have one of these kinds of effects in your deck, you're just playing Minwoo's.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I think.
Pretty much.
Also, it's like against a good player, it's super obvious. This thing's like ready and active before you do anything. You just look at it.
Though I do think this is the Larsa you use if you really have to play.
What, the Vayne? Is that what you're saying?
Trace.
Say
The
what?
Drace.
Oh, the
yeah.
Trace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I don't think that's terrible, but
yeah,
it's also not good.
I don't think
It's not terrible, but it's also not good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's no Mono Earth Astinian, but you know, it's
Yeah,
fine.
exactly.
Good
It's
lord.
not Mono Arthastinian.
But what is?
Oh man. Alright, next is Rosa. It's a 3 CP, 7k. If a forward you control is dealt damage, reduce the damage by 1,000. When Rosa forms a party and attacks, activate Rosa. Rosa can attack once more this turn. And then for just S, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a water card, activate all forwards you control.
This card's gonna fuck with math so hard.
Yeah, it's an interesting card. I don't think it goes in like the current mono water lists. But maybe there's a list that gets made that it goes in that's really good.
Yeah. No, I think the card's good. I think it's a good card. I just don't know where it goes.
Yeah, I mean, Prey is definitely an ability where, like, if you're playing a deck, you're probably gonna always hit it, right? But you have to be playing this deck where, I mean, technically, if you're playing a big old wide board deck, she draws every single time. So it's just like if you think about the one turn kill deck, dude, like she just draw. You know, like, but that's really she's kind of this like combo card right now. So I think that if I'm really looking to play the Cecil, I play the older Rosa that searches for Cecil. Seems a little bit
Yeah,
better.
no, I agree. I agree.
But I do like this card. It's really interesting. I think that it's gonna be something I have to keep an eye on.
Yeah, no, for sure. Curtis, what do you think?
I mean, I think it's an interesting card, and it probably works best in like those, weenie party attack water decks. I think that could be pretty good in it. But other than that, I don't really see it having a spot in like a constructed standard mono water deck.
No, that's fair.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting with like the little weenie knight dudes, right? That don't receive damage or whatever when you party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah,
like,
and, like mimes,
it's
and
just a
then the
meme
backup
deck.
that is like
Yeah.
you draw a card when you party attack and all that, and it's just
Alright, so now we're moving into light and dark. So the first light card is Wool. He's a warrior of light, 4 CP, 9k. You can only pay with fire, wind, or earth, or water. And you must use CP of 2 or more different elements to play him onto the field. When Wool is put from the field into the break zone, choose a forward opponent controls, deal it 9,000 damage.
And this card sucks too.
Why?
Another wasted piece of artwork.
Why?
I know it's like so annoying the amount of clash this card has, and like it like clashes in like every single way. But dude, this guy actually like does great things. I wish I could play like when he's put from the field of the breaks when you deal 9,000 or something, and he's obviously like he's either getting removal out of your opponent's hand or he's like trading. But like it's not too hard to fulfill the first part, but it's just yeah, why like all the clash makes this guy really tough.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. Next is Lock. It's a 4 CP AK. At the beginning of your main phase, you want to reveal the top two cards of your deck. Add a 6 character among them to your hand. Return the other to the bottom of your deck in any order. And then when Lock attacks, all the category 6 forwards you control other than Lock gain 2,000 power until end of turn.
Best addition to the title deck by far. By far.
Yeah,
But
he's a good title card, for sure.
like in constructed, the only deck I can see you playing him in, like I told you this before, like a mono fire Final Fantasy 6 build, or maybe even like fire water 6. But at that point, you're just losing all the pay. So why bother?
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this Lock outside of the title.
Yeah.
I wish he wasn't light.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wish he was. Well, I wish he had a different effect too, but I was kind of hoping for like a wind Lock.
But I mean, it's cool. Hi, Locke. I love the character. I like, really want to play this card. I keep trying to think like, well, I'll play one, and it's like, oh, good for Mirage Dive. I have the other guy out, and otherwise, but it's just a bad slot.
Yeah.
Like, do something else with those amazing 6 cards.
Next is Dark Card Chaos Mobius, a 6 CP 9K. When it enters the field, if the cost to play included Fire CP, deal 5K to all forwards opponent controls. If it included Ice CP, your opponent discards a card, and if it included Lightning CP, your opponent selects one monster he or she controls and puts it into the break zone.
Hey, we
No,
got to
thank
the
you.
best fire card in the set, finally.
Speaking of reasons I won't play Locke in Fire Ice,
Yeah,
this
it's
Dark card.
It's a Fire Ice card. I don't even know if you play it though. I'm not sure.
I wouldn't play it in Fire Eyes. I don't think it does enough.
Nope.
I mean, maybe if you're playing, well, even then, that's expensive. I was gonna say like maybe if you play a Frita in there, but that's like 9 CP to wipe a board.
Yeah, man, you gotta pay that 9 CP to deal AK to the board there.
Yeah,
But hey, if you have 5 Ifrits or 5 Ifritas in your break zone, you get to do all 3 plus
Blech.
this chaos.
I think it's better than the
Oh,
wall though.
man.
I think, but I'm not sure how much.
Yeah, I mean,
play it's gonna
I don't think it's a super bad card.
Mm.
It's better than Wall Unlimited,
Yeah, for sure.
but it's these are just they like we're looking at Veritas from last set. This guy is really hard to justify over something like that.
Yep.
Correct.
And then last card is Emperor Gastal. It's a 5 CP dark backup, category 6. When he enters the field, choose one forward opponent controls, break it. For dull break, play one dark forward of cost 5 or less from your hand into the field. You can only use this ability during your turn.
I like this card. And not just because I'm biased and I like 6 cards, but hey, I like the fact that it's searchable off a set. It's searchable off a Camelot, obviously. But you're not playing this with Camelot out without Chaos, or until he uses colors. The straight break is fine, and then you can replace it. And it gets flavorful, right? Because like if you break it and you replace it with 5-drop Kefka, that's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
I just like the fact that it's searchable off of Setzer, and you can play, like it's fine. Like you play this, break something, and just break it and play Gaudus.
Yeah, I mean,
That's fine, right?
this card is just kind of part of like this really long value chain that you can create in the Final Fantasy VI decks now. With all of the tutoring, it's just like another backup you can tutor that puts another guy in that could potentially get you another card. I like it. It's a cool card.
Yeah, the rate's good on it. Like 5 CP to break something unconditionally is pretty good. And then the fact that you can break it to play a dark forward. The thing is, it's kind of promoting me to play even more dark cards, and I'm not a huge fan of dark backups unless they're named Chaos. But it's not bad. I'm just worried about having a ton of like expensive dark cards in my hand.
Yeah.
That's
See,
fair.
because here's what you do.
That's
Right?
why they printed Tilica.
Yeah, that's not enough. But yeah.
Well, look. So here's what you do. Right? You play. You because I've been thinking about Ice Water 6 again. I want a reason to play Strago, and I feel like you play one of these. You can play it off a Setzer, and then you can play. And I mean, what's like a good payoff dark forward to play? Like Gaudis is, to me is the one that
Cam.
or Cam, right?
Yeah, Cam's probably
Like
Cam and like the Dark Emperor from Opus One are probably
Yeah,
like,
Cam, and then he gets Galdas, yeah, and Emperor.
or Emperor from Opus
Yeah.
Two.
mhm. Like that can't
The
be
Emperor from
terrible,
Opus
right?
2, and then you turn him into the Ice Emperor. So at the end of
Yeah.
it all, you get back into Ice. That's what I'm saying, man. He's kind of can be the part of a long, like, silly chain of cards.
And
Like,
you
if
can
you
search
just got to
for him
break
off
it.
of Setzer. Like that's the
Yeah.
big.
Like, yeah, you do have a couple extra dark cards in the deck, but you're also an Iceman. You can play the Imperio, make it happen. I think that it's like, yeah, you're gonna be wrestling with maybe having some clunky cards in your hand, but we've seen a lot of decks with like a lot of dark cards that don't have a lot of filtering, like even Earth Wind, where
Mhm.
it's just like you expect that being able to search out those cards is what makes it not so bad. So I think that because you can search this guy out and make sure you get him out nice and early, that he's pretty good.
And he's also a card too, right? That whenever they print a dark forward that costs 5 or less, you're immediately going to think about this card.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's definitely got all kinds of fun future interactions on him.
Yeah, I dig him a lot.
All right, well that's the whole set. So
Yeah, all in all,
So,
I think that there's a lot more cards I'm excited to brew with than I thought there would be at first.
yeah, I agree. I think the set it's very reminiscent of like Opus 6.
yeah, it kind of reminds me of Opus Six a bit.
So, I mean, I think we were fed from the long end of the spoon. Like the first half of the set we saw was terrible. But at least Opus 6 had some play. This does not.
Yeah. Well, I think with that, I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream. It's been about 3.5 hours. So
Yeah, we've been crushing it though,
Yeah.
guys.
We
so.
Iron Man this one.
So
Well,
yeah, I'm gonna try to
thanks.
piece this up and put it on YouTube at some point. It might kind of take a few, but
That's right. Thank you, Adam,
Thanks
for
everybody who watched.
listening.
yeah. Thanks for
Yeah,
watching,
thanks everybody
Mhm.
for tuning in.
and I'm gonna go to bed. So I'll see you guys later.
All right, good night, gentlemen.
Yeah.